going to do that, whatever your plan is, be upfront about it.
Look at that. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Trustees for the Village of Dansville to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, this evening, before we get going with the regular business, we have a public hearing, which I don't really see anybody that would probably be interested in commenting on that this evening, but we'll go through the process anyway. Let me read the legal notice first. The Village of Dansville was awarded fiscal year 2015 funds under the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program. Funds in the amount of $500,000 were awarded to provide a village-wide owner-occupied housing rehabilitation program. Pursuant to 24 CFR 570.486, the Village of Dansville is required to hold a public hearing during the grant implementation period to provide details with respect to the program or program's progress, solicit comments with respect to funded activities and program administration, and answer questions with respect to the CDBG program for grant activities. Comments may be submitted in writing to the Village of Dansville, care of Mayor Peter R. Vogt, 14 Clara Barton Street, Dansville, New York, 14437 until 11/21/17, which is today. This hearing, scheduled for Tuesday, November 21st, 2017 at 7 p.m., will be held at the Village Office, 14 Clara Barton Street, Dansville, New York. The venue is handicap accessible for those needing such assistance. Any other persons or groups needing special accommodations should contact the village at least 1 week prior to the meeting. Toma Development Consultants was retained by the village to administer the grant pursuant to the request for proposal process. They can be reached at area code 607-753-1433. The CDBG program is funded under Title I of the Housing and Community Act of 1974 as amended. The federal government, pursuant to Title I, provided fiscal year 2015 funds to New York State for award and administration. Signed, Peter R. Vogt, Mayor. And just for some background information on the program, it was a $500,000 grant, of which $410,000 was used for rehabilitation, $65,000 for program delivery, and administration was $25,000. We had 35 applicants, of which 16 were qualified. One was over the income limit, and the 18 are on a waiting list. The project completed 15 projects, and progress is still going on with one project. That's the one on Moriah. Okay, total number of structures under completion / units was 16. Okay, and with that, is there anybody that wants to ask questions or has any comments they want to make on the program itself? Yes?
I'm thankful and appreciative.
Yeah. Tammy was one of the recipients. Okay, after many efforts to hurdles to get over. Okay, so there, Megan, you can put that down as a positive comment. And with that, I'll leave the hearing open until later in the meeting, and we can take more comments at that time before we close it. At this time, I'd just like to approve the minutes for the department head meeting on October 11th, 2017, and the regular meeting minutes for October 17th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Trustee Rittenhouse. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second from Trustee Nagel. Any discussion, addition, deletions, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Privilege of the floor. Mr. Mapes.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Thought I was in trouble when I got up here and found out that one of the trustees was a former student of mine.
I hope you did them well.
Well, he was a neighbor too, and we got along pretty well. Anyway, to the trustees of the village, I'm here because of the drainage problem that we're experiencing on Chestnut Street. It's not a new problem, but it has become a little bit worse each year that passes. And one of the biggest concerns that we have is that the flooding from the street comes down onto the property of the church and makes puddles, large puddles, on the sidewalk areas, which in inclement weather, when it freezes, I mean, you've got ice. And it's a problem that even though we salt our sidewalks, sometimes we can't get rid of that ice in a timely fashion. And there have been people that have fallen, and we're concerned about it, especially since we are liable because we own the sidewalk property. Now, Scott came over and talked with some of the people at our church, and they were looking for some remedies. And I think there could be some remedies, although I'm not exactly certain what they should be, and that's why I'm here, is to talk to you about the possibility of remedies. And I brought a few things to show you, and we can pass them along. There's nothing dramatic about it, but the problem probably started well over 75 to 100 years ago. Chestnut Street was probably 1 foot to 2.5 feet lower than it is right now. And over the years, because of improvements to the village, like storm drains and improving Main Street, the grade was raised. Other things happened, and I'll try to show them to you as I progress with some pictures, but this is a picture from approximately 100 years ago, and if you pass that along, you'll see that the grade in front of the church is considerably lower. In fact, there's a wall in the picture that you can see, and that wall extends along the front, and it was considerably higher than the street. This next picture, which I'm going to show you, is a picture from probably about the same period, maybe 20 years later, maybe about 80 years ago. But what I want to point out in that picture for what you're looking at right now is the grade across the street. You'll see a couple trees that are planted there. That is what is now the Salvation Army parking lot. And for all of you, I think probably the mayor is probably the only one here in the room that remembers what was on that lot before the A&P was built there. And that would have been in the 1950s, right, Pete?
Yes.
Anyway, when they tore down all those buildings on that lot where the Salvation Army is now, those buildings, there were some car garages and some other businesses there, but when they built the A&P, they raised the grade of the building itself and the parking lot higher than what you're going to see in this picture. Well, what that does is all the water from that A&P parking lot comes down onto Chestnut Street. Then from Chestnut Street, it has to go somewhere. And once the grade of Chestnut Street came up, it's not being addressed by the storm drains, it's coming right down our sidewalk. In the 1960s, they made an effort to ameliorate some of the flooding by putting some curbing along the street. And that curbing is nothing more than parking lot stops. And I'm sure you're familiar with, like in parking lot, they put these concrete blocks down so when you pull your car ahead, you can only go just so far. That's all that curbing is, and it's secured with iron pins. So it really isn't curbing, it's just a way to hopefully divert some of the water. And here's another picture, same time period, just from a different angle, and you can see with the curbing wrapped around the corner. Now what I'm going to show you now is today. This is the parking lot across the street, looking at the parking lot across the street, Salvation Army, and what is happening to our sidewalk right in front of our fellowship hall. Not the main entrance to the church, but the fellowship hall, which is on the side of the church. And you can see the water comes right from the street, right down onto that sidewalk. And here's a Here's another view from the street view so you can see how that's happening. Now, one of the things that Scott suggested was that we improve the drainage on the street. I'm not certain quite how to do that. And the other thing was to fix our sidewalks. Now, the problem with fixing the sidewalks is this. Let's say we raise the sidewalks up 5 or 6 inches. We are already at grade for our door that goes into the fellowship hall. If we raise the sidewalks even 4 or 5 inches, the water's not going to just sit where you saw it here. It's going to run all the way into the building. So doing the sidewalks I don't think is the fix. Plus it's going to cost the church well over $1,000, which we don't have at this point. So what I'm asking is there some way we can design some drainage from the street, possibly put in curbing all the way along there to divert the water so it doesn't come into our lot at all? And, you know, the people that know more about that, of course, are, you know, the people in our maintenance crew, and hopefully we can come up with a plan. But I just don't think that fixing the sidewalk is the answer. Now, maybe you wanted to add some things to this discussion.
Well, what we discussed was we were gonna bring storm drainage down the sidewalk, under the sidewalk.
Okay.
Okay, put some catch bases along the street.
Mhm.
And so basically in front of the church, the main doors, that area, you guys would have to take care of that sidewalk, because that's your property.
Right.
And then the rest of it, we would do just like we do for everybody else in the village. It was $10 a foot, so the total cost of the church, I think, was like $1,100.
Mhm.
But that would take care of the situation, because you have the drainage in there then.
And where would, if there's drains underneath that sidewalk,
No, there would be catch bases put in the street.
There'd be
We
catch
would just
bases.
run the main line underneath the sidewalk, just so we don't have to tear up the whole street. We're gonna have the sidewalk tore out, so we might just as well put the drainage there.
okay, well, and then that begs the question, if you are going to tear up the sidewalk and you're going to fix the drainage problem, which never was the church's fault,
No, I agree.
then who really should pay for the remedy? Should it be the church because the parking lot across the street was raised up, because the street itself was raised up, and, you know, we're caught, you know, spending $1,000 that we really can't manage right now to fix the problem. But yet, now we have a liability problem, which is getting worse each year. And that's something maybe in your own time you can discuss and let us know what you're thinking, okay?
Okay.
Any questions?
Thanks, David.
Okay. We didn't have padded chairs when I was a trustee.
Probably made the meeting shorter.
Well, I didn't buy them. You should have seen the one I
When
had.
I got here,
You should have seen the one I had first. It was like a throne. Big high back.
Big high back.
Yeah, there was a little picture too, didn't there?
Yeah, it was straight in.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
The one,
Make sure you have
Yeah, I've
everything.
got it.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all right.
you're welcome to hang around, Dave.
I'm sure you have important business to take care of. Good night.
Good night, Dave. You have a good evening. Okay. Couldn't talk, Dr. Ball come in?
Dave was busy, he told me he's gonna come as soon as possible.
Okay,
I'll
so,
finish that.
so you want to wait for him,
Yeah,
or?
I'm gonna wait.
Okay, I'll wait till he gets here then. And the other two on the list were really maybes. I wasn't sure if they were going to show or not, so we'll wait and see if any, if they do. And move on to mayor's comments and correspondence. Just as a reminder, last week I was up in Albany at the Legislative Priorities Committee meeting for NICOM. It was a rather interesting experience, to be quite honest. It was from about 9:30 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's a lot of insight into what goes on in Albany. So,
does anything really go on in Albany?
Yeah, so
I didn't say it was anything good. I said what goes on, it's interesting.
fill us in.
Well, I actually participated in a press conference with the mayor of Albany, Mayor Sheehan. The big thing at the first part of the meeting anyway was the salt. You know, the state's taxes, and everything being, no, Congress, or at least the Senate wants to remove that exemption from the, your income taxes. It's basically a double tax, because you're paying taxes on taxes. And actually, NICOM had been down to Washington and talked to a lot of our reps. But since that has not been approved yet, and I've received a whole bunch of information. In fact, if you look on the in the share folder, you will see a number of documents. They're all from the same outfit. This Americans Against Double Taxation, and there's a sample letter in there. And unless anybody objects to it, I was going to go ahead and send it to our congressman. I don't think there's a problem with Senator Schumer and Gillibrand, but I think Mr. Collins has been less supportive of it. No, wants, I think, more to keep it in, or at least to modify it. I just think it hurts a lot of people who are trying to buy houses. If your house is paid for, you're fine. But if it's not, and you're basically paying twice on that house when it comes to taxes. So, I don't know, anybody have any objections?
I've seen that on there.
Yeah. So, okay, we'll move right along to the next object, and that is, see, NICOM vacant and abandoned property session, Batavia, November 28th. I'll be going to that. You're going, right?
Oh, you're going to the Batavia one now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just pointing to Charlie going, are you going too? I guess. Yeah. I'm not going to go to Utica. If I go, it's to Batavia.
Okay. You just need to register, that's all.
Okay.
You just gotta
Gotta
send an
go
email
do the
to,
email ahead of time. I can't just show up. Okay.
you probably could, but I don't, they prefer to have have you register so they know how many people are gonna be there. The more the merrier. And that's gonna be put on by NICOM, so hopefully it'll be better than what was put on the Department of Finance, Financial Services. They're the people in charge of all the sort of stuff on abandoned and vacant houses because they deal with banks. And it was sort of, I wasn't sure they knew where they were going. NICOM will give us a more independent look at it, and they'll probably give us some ideas how other communities are actually handling it. So we'll try to see if that works. That's for our students here in the room. I see we have a number of you. That issue is that you probably have seen a lot of houses in the village that are vacant. Nothing's happening with them. They falling in disrepair. During the summertime, you'll see a lot of growing grass and other stuff collecting around the houses. And it's quite a problem because that's a blight on the community. It detracts from the neighboring houses. And a lot of these are basically in foreclosure process because people couldn't pay their mortgages. So it's become quite a problem for a lot of communities because we end up trying to take care of them so that the neighborhood is not looking undesirable. It keeps some of the unwanted people from homesteading, as it were, in some of them. So hopefully we're trying to find some answers on how to address this. And there are a few answers, and hopefully we'll get some ideas when we go up there next Tuesday to Batavia. NICOM is the New York State, or the New York Conference of Mayors and Municipal Officials. It's our PAC, as it were. It's our interest group that promotes our concerns in Albany. Okay. And let's see. And also, we got a letter here, unless anybody objects. This is an annual event, the Jingle Bells 5K, part of the Winter in the Village program.
I was just hoping someone from the fire department was here too, because part of that is they were asking for fire department and police to help out.
Yeah, they're going to contact them separately.
I
So,
mean, we're not probably putting additional patrol on it, correct? We just do it with what we have, right?
Yeah, Glenn was gonna, Fire Chief Glenn was gonna try to he put up a notice to see how many firemen would be interested, and he's let me know what he had for bodies, and go from there. I don't know what the route is off the top of my head. I probably got something.
well, it crosses Main Street a couple times, so.
So as it gets closer, we'll work out the details with them and the fire department and ourselves.
used to be, it would cut across, I remember, anywhere, up Maine somewhere, up towards, I think, Knox and that area. Come across, go down Elizabeth, cut across Prime, and go down to, I think, Van Campen, and go over to Morse, go across Morse to Franklin, if I'm not mistaken.
Not a busy intersection.
Yeah.
That's my thing, is I just was hoping the fire department was here to say, yeah, they dump out,
So, hopefully.
because if they don't, we're
Okay, that's all I've got there, unless anybody has objections to it, we'll go ahead and just, we've already sort of given them the go-ahead anyway, but bring it to your attention. Committee reports, village clerk, legislative, action list update. Any changes?
No changes from the last meeting. And that's in the share folder.
The next item I could probably answer, subrogation of the Criley vehicles tree damage claim. For those of you who weren't here, I guess we discussed it at the department head meeting. All that means is the insurance company has gone ahead and paid the Crileys. Now, the insurance company is going to come and try to get the money from us. We'll see how that works out.
yeah.
We've been notified is basically what that is. So,
On the action item list, I was just wondering, over the summer months, did we get the soldier monument, cost?
It needs more than caulk.
yeah.
We talked about.
Yeah, some of it is scaled off as well. Some of the granite on the one side is scaled off. It's going to need some repairs. It's been there over 100 years, so
So,
getting old.
I just was reading it earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I got one thing, on tree damage.
Mm-hmm.
Village tree damages a vehicle. I know comps should take care of that vehicle, right?
Not necessarily, because if the tree is healthy, it's an act of God, act of nature, whatever you want to call it,
Okay.
and normally an insurance company won't pay on that.
Okay,
Now, they're claiming that the tree was rotted,
okay.
and so now it'll be up to our insurance company, which is Nymer, and
You're aware of some of this stuff that's going on then? There's a couple people that had cars damaged in the village
mhm.
because of village trees. And I've been approached as
Well, that's what this was about, one of the,
why they won't be covered that.
it's like,
Deductible anyway.
mhm. That's just something that happens.
Thank you, God.
My vehicle got missed by a branch in front of my house. It was in a tree in front of the, in the curb lawn.
I just didn't know the right answer to give them was all, just-
Unless they can prove that we were negligent in some manner or way. In other words, we knew it was rotted and did nothing about it.
If the tree was marked and fell,
If it was marked, then they might have a claim.
okay, that's the only thing, yeah.
And they can't run out afterwards, put a mark on it.
We had a situation just recently
Yeah.
where the trees were marked to come down because they were messy trees.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very hard to maintain, but not because the trees were dead, so the insurance company denied that claim.
Yeah. It'll be up to the insurance company.
Who marks the trees? Do you mark them? Do you have like a color of, like blues because they're dying, reds because they're a messy tree and making messes, or?
No, we just put a red mark on it once come down.
So basically, the answer is, it's whatever the insurance company do, it's an act of God, it's nothing to do with the village. Or if the village neglected to take it down, and it was a bad tree, then they got a claim.
Yep, but they got to prove that the tree was bad.
Yeah,
And that the village.
And that we knew about it.
Yeah.
It's just like a sidewalk.
okay.
If someone were to trip on a sidewalk and it had never been reported, say it raised up a little
Yeah.
bit, nobody ever reported, then we're not responsible.
Okay.
There's a term for that, and I always forget it, but
You're gonna be negligent.
something about, I forgot the name, but it's in
I
the
understand.
Bible we got over there.
Yeah,
And we maintain a file
Yep.
down in the clerk's office whenever something is reported.
yep.
Yeah, not
So we
too,
refer back to that whenever we do have a.
we had a case where a gentleman's,
Reports usually come to you from the folks in the village.
Typically, most people will call the clerk's office before they're directed to any other office, yep,
And
so
then you
that
can
goes
tell them
through
instead
me.
of been reported and things like that.
A few years ago, we had somebody who fell on ice over on Ocean Street, but we had never been given a notice of defect, so we weren't responsible for it. But once somebody tells us about it, we gotta fix it. And that's what happened in the case of a young woman there that fell and broke her wrist up here in front of Cafe Taza. We knew about that about a year in advance. Never got fixed. I mean, it wasn't much, but the lady there at Cafe Taza had reported it, so we didn't really have much to fall back on. Okay, any other questions? Alrighty. And I got a notice the other day of paid family medical leave benefit. That there are responsibilities if we decide not to opt into the program. We're not required to participate. Certain private companies are, but on the public side, it's an option. And I would rather just wait and see. We don't pay for it. The employee does. So we just give them the option of whether or not, there's some paperwork that Megan has to fill out and send it back to the state by, what is it, the 1st of December?
That's right.
Yeah.
You can opt out prior to then. We have to send them something, whether we're gonna opt in or opt out. We can opt out and then we can opt in at any point after.
And it costs the employee money?
Yeah,
Yes.
it would cost the employee, it's a very low percentage. I calculated mine, and I think it was like $2 a week. My computer shut off. But I did email a link to everybody,
Yeah.
that you can click into that and learn a little bit more about what it is.
I would just leave that alone and see what comes out of negotiations here, since contracts are coming up. If they want it, we can include it, it's not a big deal.
Right.
If they're not interested, there's no point in getting too wrapped up in it.
Do we have to opt out by December 1st or something?
Yeah, so we can send a letter just saying that we're gonna opt out, and then we can join at any time
Okay.
after. With this, there's no open enrollment period or anything like that, we can join at any time.
Just so you're aware of it, if anybody should bring it up.
Have you spoke to any of the employees? I mean, what, you know,
I haven't talked to anyone about it. We will have to notify the unions. There's certain requirements that we have to do, so we'll notify the unions in writing that we're opting out when we send the letter, and then that will start the conversations, you know, and if the majority of it's all or none, you know. Individual employees can't choose to opt in, it would have to be the village opting in on behalf of the employees, and then the employees pay, so the majority of the employees would probably have to want it.
Okay, thank you. Public safety, trustee Nagel.
We'll start with Tammy.
Okay,
Zoning board?
Since last month, I was wondering why no one was on it.
The zoning
Oh.
board last Thursday had their public hearing for 45 Maple Street. Everything was approved by the zoning board. The planning board is having a public hearing on it right now. So when you're done with me, I'm going to go down and see how that's going. My report is no changes from my report from 2 weeks ago. And in regards to, do you want me to talk about the bushes on the corner of Ryan and Help?
Where do we stand on it? Is the 30 days up yet?
When you notified me that the state had notified our municipal government that they're within the right of way and they wanted them down, I sent an order to remedy to the property owner on October 17th, giving them 30 days, which was to November 17th, to bring them down to 3 foot in height or remove them completely. And the property owner has opted to not participate. So at this point, I feel that the pertinent way to go would be, since the state says they're in our right of way and they want them 3 foot high, we take a chainsaw over, make them 3 foot high and move on to other things.
No, I think so. We
The-
got more
the
important
property
things
owner-
to take care of
Do it.
that.
The property, no, the state's telling us to do it. The property owner
They
had a
said we
choice to do
should.
something different.
Say
And
once it's down,
we
tell
gave
them
them
to
time
do it.
to do it and
That's
they
what I'm thinking.
chose not to, so I say we just
These are the same bushes
An hour
that,
later, it's done.
that Mr. Hall brought to our attention. And they are an obstacle, at least in the
They're ice-
summertime, and the winter they're not.
Not so bad right
It's
this,
very bad.
not, right now, they're not too bad.
You
No.
can hack them down to 2 foot, but next year they're gonna be
Exactly, they're gonna run
4
right
foot
back the
again.
same
So I
thing
mean, if
again.
you're gonna go
Take
up
'em
and
out.
remedy them, and think you remedy them by taking them out.
Well,
Are they on the state side of the sidewalk?
doesn't matter about the sidewalk, they're in the state right
They're in
away.
the state right away.
They're in the state right-
Sidewalk there doesn't matter.
I do know that they were cut down to 3 foot high about 5 years ago. It's taken them 5 years to get back to this height.
How high are they now?
They're about 4.5 foot high.
But if we take them to 3 foot, next year they'll be over 3 foot again, and they'll
Well-
technically be back in.
Yeah, so.
Easy answer to that is, first time around, gets them at the designated height. After that, we take them out.
And it's possible that once they're at the designated height, it may encourage them to maintain them.
Yeah, it may encourage the property owner to participate.
Why? If the village is gonna come do it for them,
Mhm.
why
I'm-
participate?
Just trying to.
I know, but if you're gonna come down and cut my
Positive spin on it.
bushes, why would I waste my time if you're coming back?
Well, I'm just saying, trying to be nice, do due diligence, give the guy an opportunity to get with the game, play ball.
But it's up to the board, whatever you guys want to do, but I wanted to give you the update.
Let's move on with that and have them cut back the size and go from there.
Yeah. Give him a chance. Can't say we didn't do it. Then when he complains, that when we rip him out, that's on him.
Brought that up more times.
Okay. Got anything else, Tammy?
I don't have anything else. Does anybody have any questions of me? If not, I'd like to attend the public hearing downstairs.
Go for it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
He texted me, he cannot make it.
You can't make it tonight?
Yeah, he's on Hornell and she's patient.
Would you like to speak, or you got the floor, sir?
Want me to stay for a minute?
Yeah, you could.
Sure. So, we are looking for property that, there is a nursery and there is commercial property with private, residential property too. That's on sale. And we are try to make it community center. There is some Muslim community center. So we are looking for that. If you like to change zoning, for us, so we can buy and offer that. We want a community center, including that prayer and that we make that kind of for kids and there is a young kid, kids don't have, any kind of evening or daytime. So we try to build that kind of community center so kids can have free games or that kind of activities up there. So we try to, after a couple of years, maybe a few years, as soon as we, establish that one, we offering the food and that kind of stuff. So if you are we are trying to buy that property, if you give us permission, so we can offer that.
He's talking about the property down at the corner of Jefferson and Clara Barton, your favorite property.
I was just
76,
gonna ask what's going on with that.
Yes.
76 Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. So it's an opportunity possibly to get something cleaned up down there.
It's currently zoned LR2, which is residential. You can put a church, you can put a library, you can put a single-family home on it right now without doing anything. But to put a community center open to the public, it would have to have a special use variance from the zoning board of appeals, or it would have to have zoning change. So that's what they're asking with how would the village board like to approach this? Would the village board be interested in helping, or would they have to go through the zoning board of appeals process?
What would that do as far as spot zoning goes?
Well, it wouldn't really be spot zoning. You could be extending the gas station and the general business district that goes all the way down to the far end of exit 4 straight up through.
Okay.
You're just adding one more property to the general business district already. It's already right in line on Claire Barton Street.
Mhm.
So I don't think, you'd have to run it past county planning, but I don't think they would consider that spot zoning. Is what I've gotten from the
Creek
research
shouldn't
from
matter.
when I've talked to you already about it.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay?
Any questions? Tammy, or? Guess we'll probably do some talking about it, and I can get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
So you're gonna be gone for a couple months, right?
Yeah, not gonna be able, Dr. Iqbal will take care of that one.
Okay, I can touch base with him.
I will give him your number and he will take care of
Okay.
it. I'm not gonna be here for 2-3 months, so he gonna take care of that one. Any kind of paperwork or anything. So that
Okay.
is not bad. I'll be back end of February.
I think it's a great opportunity to clean up a piece of
One
property.
part I missed on, where's the funding coming from?
Oh, that's, like generate our own fund.
It's private people.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's like church because
Okay.
we have people up here, there is a doctor, there is other
Yeah.
doctor.
Would it be used for worship at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so technically you could probably get away with
You
it.
might not have to change zoning if you also
That's
had
fine, so I'm
regular,
just talking about.
if you
Mhm.
also had regular hours of worship there, then
Might
it
have to
would
not
fall-
have to do
It would
anything.
fall under a church and we wouldn't have to do anything. If you solely used it only for a community center and not as a place of worship, that's when the zoning,
So we have,
modification would need.
Worship too, like that's what they, we go to, like a 50 mile. This
you're
year,
driving 50 miles one way to,
50
yeah.
mile that way, like 100 mile, like there is a,
So if it's a
Family.
church/community center, then zoning's not an issue and it would be a great location and really be an improvement to our
Mhm.
community.
yeah, that's something like, we want, like, like to 27 center for prayer and for like other use too. We are initially, like, have a program to build up there, the playground outside or inside there, like when we build that, enough, we generate enough money, so we can make that, like a big hall. So there is, like for young kids, they can come over to play billiard or that kind of games, so they don't want, like running around or like that kind of free. They're gonna be free. So only that food is available.
Might be interesting.
Do you have anything for, like, building plans or anything, what you're focusing on, or what your future plans would be on that structure?
We don't have right now because we were looking at other property that was up there, and that's, we have, like last year, a year and a half ago.
They need to pin down a property first and know how big the property is before they can really sink their
Okay.
teeth into, this is how big the building's going to be, because they need to know how big the lot is, so they can make sure they fit
Okay, that
building
makes
and
sense.
parking lot
How
both.
big is that lot down there?
Yeah, we,
Not you.
It's, Jefferson Street frontage has probably almost 300 feet. Claire Barton Street frontage is only about 100.
Alright, so it's-
But then the creek goes at an angle, so if you go down Jefferson Street and then go back to Earl, then it's very deep there. It's not a rectangle, it's almost a triangle-shaped lot.
Like laying next door to it.
Yeah, there's almost there's like, what, a half an acre right next door that Mr. Funtner owns that he isn't doing anything with either, that, he might be interested in selling too, if the right person is going, if the right thing's going next door, it could end up being a
And we
very
gotta
big lot.
stir that pot.
Yeah.
they are, I think they are in the group, so right now,
I've been
Exactly
here for
what you're
10
thinking.
years, and Mr. Funtner has proposed
I'm
many
pretty
things
quiet.
for that lot, and for sale has been one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
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 I think we've got some options here.
thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Good
you're
luck
welcome.
with it.
Yep.
Thanks
Thank you.
for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Have a nice evening.
I can't remember his last name. His wife's a doctor. He owns the Danville Express Mart over here on Main Street, across from the gas light. Yep.
I thought he looked familiar.
Okay. I guess that takes care of code enforcement. Carry on, Mike.
I don't see anybody here from the ambulance or fire department.
Fire department is having their fire prevention awards night today for the school kids.
I
And
did see we got some reports
pardon?
from the ambulance company.
Yes, we should be up to date with those, I believe,
Yeah.
now.
That's very nice.
Yep, so I think everything is looking good.
Good, good.
It was quite a bit in the share folder this week. And, anybody got any concerns or questions they want to raise as far as the ambulance or fire go? Guess we can move on then.
Move on to the lead chief.
Okay. Shannon's back from his military leave, that's probably the highlight. And that business as usual,
More the merrier.
or the merrier, yeah. You had your complaint on the, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but 117 and 20 Liberty Street on the heating and all that. So that's being worked through slowly but surely. He's over there doing the work, and the tenants have all been spoken to. And they're not happy with things, but they understand the repairs need to be made and parts need to be gathered, and it's gonna take a few days to.
Are they all sufficiently warm enough at this point?
Yep,
Okay.
checked on their temporary heating systems and all that, they've got that, so she wrote up probably, there's probably 4 or 5 different property she wrote violations up on today, and those would be 2 of them, just in case he doesn't get to them as quickly as he says he's going to. But he is getting to them, so hopefully the progress he's making right now.
My understanding he was over there actually when we ran into him that
Yeah,
day.
that day we actually ran into him Friday, and then he was hoping to the parts Saturday, didn't come through on Saturday, but he was over there today. So,
This is 117 and 117 Main and 20 Liberty Street, the ones we've had ongoing problems with over there. I had one of the tenants come to me the other day and last week and complain about the lack of heat and leaking and all these other things that were allegedly going on. Some of them, I guess, valid, some of them questionable. Nevertheless, Tammy and the chief, I sicked them on it and seemed to have gotten the gentleman's attention a little bit. At least he was over there trying to correct some of the issues, which is better than he's been in the past.
you know, he took the hints on all the other things verbally that she put in writing today. He took all the hints on those to address some plumbing things and some debris issues.
And we issued the ticket for the property down on Allen Street, right? Where you
Oh, yeah.
presented it to the owner.
Yeah, that started a whole nother counter complaints, you know, of trespassing and so on and so forth, so that will take out later its own for the next couple of weeks at least.
Yeah. Okay.
And today, and so he got his summons. Yep, so moving forward with that as well.
Just tell him when you go fishing, you don't always get all the fish at one time.
Nope. The car issue over on that corner of town, he got his ticket as well. You were asking about that? I think a couple weeks ago you were asking about that.
What was that?
Unlicensed cars over.
Oh, yeah,
So he got his ticket.
really.
I see the other littering one was issued
Just
too.
don't
must be.
understand why it even was.
We can talk about it sometime,
Yeah.
difficulty there. And we passed each other many occasions, we were never within arm's reach, but today we were within arm's reach. You were mentioning.
The other one, you see, you got the littering one finally.
Yeah, that's what the mayor was speaking of, so that's now taken on a whole nother life of its own.
Oh, I figured it would.
With counter complaints and right down to, had to bug Megan for a copy of the law that actually has the state stamp on it, because that was a point of discussion, that his copy of the law was just a copy that didn't have the return receipt stamped on it from the state, so. Megan-
Really?
Megan, you know,
That doesn't stop from the ticket being issued though, does it? That's-
oh, no, it's
That
just.
still gives you, you can ask for that for your, in court.
Yeah, so we're gonna just stay ahead of it, and Megan provided it, and I got it, and I'll give it to him tomorrow, and
Hoorah.
it'll be a very high maintenance issue.
Surprised you hadn't kicked your vehicles off his property.
So, anybody have any thoughts, any questions on anything in particular?
Chief, over on the corner of on the east side of Washington and Claire Barton. There's a barn out back there that's literally fallen down. Does anybody give consideration what we can do with that?
Yeah.
Some of the neighbors have been complaining about it.
Yep, we talked about it last week too, and I'm guessing that'll probably get the same violation notice that a couple of places got today, that a couple of places today got violation notices pertaining to complaints on the roofing, whether they're watertight. Now, these were homes in this particular case, that Tammy sent the violations out because they're tarped with, the blue tarp. So, but I would imagine that some piece of that law still covers a non-residential structure as far as the roof condition. So we talked about it. So I'll make a note of it and see where it is on the to-do list. Let's just make a good note. So you asked about policies. So we're aiming for Lexipol in the new budget year.
What's the action item
Oh,
was?
okay.
Now, what have been your conclusions as far as the other departments you've had to talk to?
Gonna spend more time talking to them to see what they want to do, see if we can join forces on that.
Have we talked to him about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The sheriff's department's looking into that same program. Mount Morris would like to look into it. I'm thinking maybe with a change in the chief and Avon, he may be open to it. Geneseo doesn't, at this point, not interested.
Yeah, I think that on the sheriff's office end, it's more about, because they'll keep track of not making the policies, but what was the policy on a certain date, so if an incident arises, they can go back to that date if the policy changed since then.
But, right now, we're asking for, right now, the budget figure is 4,800. I know it will be less than that. I'm just not sure how much less it will be, depending on who else may be interested in joining on. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
Be conservative and go with a larger number.
Well,
Right
then
now,
when it comes down to
yeah.
it, then you start whittling them down at the end, like, well, this is what we have, we're willing to do it.
So, and a couple people suggested that, perhaps I come and speak with their village board to encourage it, because it would definitely be helpful to them. But I wanted to make sure that I was content with what I was learning. And Grease PD, Batavia PD, Attica, Warsaw, Perry, have all gone with it. Jamestown, Cheektowaga. Now, those last two I haven't talked to, but the other chiefs and those other 5 departments I have spoken to, and they're all, every time I talk to them, they're more sold on it than they were the month before even. So,
There's training involved and everything, so.
yeah. So, and they picked up a really intelligent guy to help run the New York portion of it. So, he's a very capable individual. So I think it's definitely be the way to go, and as we've spoken, the mayor and I have spoke, try to aim that financing towards the next budget year.
So is it that every year, or is it like a larger to get started than a maintenance fee?
It's supposed to be that every year, but I'm hoping to encourage the alternative to get started at one price and a maintenance at a lesser. That's what I'm hoping to. And so there was something else I was thinking about that, so I spoke with them. Yeah, so they all seem very, very sold out, the folks that have gone with it. And I just want to, probably it'll be after New Year's before I can get to the other folks locally to see if they want to buy into it or not.
I had a quick question for you. I really came back after Mike had made the comment about the one barn. Remember the property over on William Street where the gentleman had all sorts of stuff out behind the barn and everything? Did that ever get cleaned up? Was that addressed and taken care of?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing more than,
He was
I just,
good.
when he said that, it spurred my
Yeah.
thought, so.
They moved, didn't they?
Yeah, then coincidentally, they sold the house and moved, but
Yeah.
prior to that.
It was all cleaned up?
They were all perfect anyways.
I don't know, let me just think when Mike asked about that barn, it made me think of that.
Yeah. So I'll talk with Kenny on the barn and figure out what the option is on that. But there's a lot of,
I'm sure that's rental property.
it is.
Yeah, it still has to be maintained.
So you gotta find the owner.
You'd think if you've got a barn falling in on a rental property, that would even be worse than on a home.
Speak of the devil, right there she is if you got a question.
And we started, just because we all know what we went through the last time with the juvenile issue, thank goodness we don't have a lot of those, but we started another one, which meant we spent all day last Friday from 9 in the morning till 5 at night with them, and then back today, driving them from Bath to Geneseo and back to Bath. And next Tuesday, we're gonna go get them in Bath and bring them back to Geneseo, and who knows where then.
Well, this is another one of those cases where we're bouncing
Spending
them all
this
over.
money, but at some point, if the village says, hey, look, we can't afford to transport, what, Livingston County Court is the one that's putting them there. I always said, because I had a conversation with one of the officers and they were telling me about it, I go, drop them off at court and say, gotta go, guys. I mean,
How old is he?
14.
and wait until next year when it turns into 18.
Yeah, next October
You know, they
starts.
raise this arrest law. It's gonna kill a small department and, you know, a small village if you've got, you know, truck these kids back and forth to Albany. You know, like, and that's what we did with the last one, was that back and forth to Albany, so. I mean, at some point, there comes a point where I think the village police department has done their job. And I think that, it's gotta go somewhere else. I know that this is a big discussion last
Yeah,
time too.
We discussed it, I brought it again at Law Enforcement Council last Tuesday, and it was reaffirmed that, you know, as it stands right now.
What if the village police department drops them off and says, I can't take, we're not available?
Yeah, the judge signs an order.
But the judge can't sign an order for a village police department to do it. Actually, the only thing you do is remand them to the custody of the county, which would mean that another department would transport them. You can't remand them to the custody of the village police.
No, I think they just designate us the transportation authority.
If you're not there, drop them off court security, be like, you have a great day. I mean, it's one thing to help a little bit, but it turns into every week running them back and forth. In a small police department, it burns your budget.
Well, it's like family court in Monroe County, sends me a subpoena. I open it up at 10:30 in the morning. It says to drop the documentations off in Monroe County Family Court by noon. Needless to say, that didn't happen, so maybe I won't be here next week.
Contempt of court?
Yeah.
We'll bring you some bread.
File.
I mean, at this point, can I just take that for you? 3 hats and a cot, you know? But, you know, I mean, there's gotta be something else, because I don't think, by state law, that a county court judge can order a municipality to do that.
I know we had a pretty lively debate on it over a couple different months there last year when we were incurring all that, and that's what came out of it ultimately.
But I would love to ask an attorney or something, can a county court judge, because normally they're remanding to the custody of the sheriff. And it's the sheriff's office is the one that does the transports.
Yep.
How can you remand them to the custody of us?
Well, I'm guessing this is probably gonna take up more conversation as the next 10 months progress, because October of next year, when it now starts dealing with 16-year-olds in the same boat, there's potentially, not a ton, but a significant increase in those numbers. And then a year after that, 17-year-olds will take effect.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Doesn't get any better.
yeah, it's not getting
Well-
any better, so I'm assuming this is gonna take on a whole new spirited conversation as to who is responsible for transports. Just like the conversation about the arraignments, you know, is taking on, you know, initially the position on arraignments was that they were gonna be held wherever they're held and transported to whatever court had the arraignment process that given day. Now there is some talk that they might be held in a more central location. Maybe, you know, I mean, it's a lot, you know, so there's both of these things have a lot of conversation going on with them that are only gonna get more detailed and more lively as it goes along. Maybe that might be the end result, but.
I just don't know where the county, like I said, the county court judge can
We don't have
demand a
facilities.
municipality.
We don't have facilities.
Well, and
What are
that's
we
what
supposed to
us,
do
you
with
know,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
So that's
saying.
what we
Yeah.
ran into on Friday, is this was a work in progress from the previous Thursday. They were, you know, we called them up previous Thursday and said, this is the difficulty we've got. And, you know, Friday's a holiday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was training for some people, not us. Thursday, no phone call, then Friday it's like, we're ready for him. Can you go pick him up? Absolutely. Call a guy in, go pick him up, call over, he'll be there at 9:45. And because we were specifically told, the earlier the better, morning would be great. Perfect. So we got ourselves out, 9:45, we had him in Geneseo. Officer calls me at 10 and says they don't want him back till 2 o'clock. So we ran back here, we babysat him, we fed him lunch, and we took him back over at 2 o'clock, and then we drove into that.
And that's just it, I mean,
It's insane. It's another unfunded mandate, unsupported.
it's not, I don't know if the county can mandate a municipality.
Yeah. But
The state, it's a state mandate, your unfunded mandates are state mandates, that's not a state mandate.
no,
That's
but the situation the state has created with including a more comprehensive group of people now falling into that category is essentially an
let's just say,
mandated, unfunded mandate.
let's say that juvenile was picked up by Nunde PD, which is a part-time police agency. Nunde PD doesn't have someone working on Monday morning at 9 o'clock when they say, hey, go pick up, this young child who is obviously in need of help, and we're all for about getting a child help. Who goes and gets them?
Sheriff, I would think.
Or Dunday's gonna schedule on a day when they do have an officer working, and that's what that officer's duty shift will be.
But you know how that's gonna go. We don't have anyone available that day. We got court starting at 5 o'clock, we're more than happy, you know what I'm saying? So there's definitely gotta be some, I'd like just to stay on top of that, because going forward, there's gotta be a remedy to that, because again, I don't think that it can't be a state mandate, because it's not a state facility doing it.
No, but it all derives, I mean, these problems are created from Albany,
Yep.
or at least they don't get any better because of Albany. Which is one of the issues that came up during the legislative session I was at, on unfunded mandates. Because we don't do our jobs out here. So the state's gonna govern us.
So going back to the rules and regs, it's 4,800 a year that we're gonna budget into next year, which is June 1st, right?
Yes.
So what's their turnaround for like going through your stuff? What do they project? How long that takes them?
Well, I'm hoping to find that out. I know there's been different suggestions from the different chiefs of a few months to a year.
Because I know this has been a topic since like before I even came up here. Rules and regs. Because it's a liability issue. And if we're waiting basically another 7 months before we even give it to them, and then we're saying it's gonna be another year before maybe we hear back from them, seems like a lot of treading water to me. I don't know, it just seems like if there's a way to move quicker or do
There could be.
something, I mean, it's been kicked around a lot.
19 years for me.
Yeah, I mean, and I know they're a pain in the butt, but this has been a while.
Why don't we do this, Chief? Let's speed up the process of contacting these other departments, and then if we can, kick it out of this year's budget as we get a little further into the fiscal year. Then we could jumpstart it this year with something, because I'm sure they don't want it all at once anyway.
No, I mean, well, they're gonna take it all on at once, and then they're gonna spoon feed us week to week with it.
Spoon feed what, the bills or the,
No, the information.
yeah. But I'm talking about the invoicing of it.
Oh,
If it's like, say, codification, the website, and that was been a lot of, no, not so much the website, but codification for sure. I guess it was the website as well. It's been done in increments. So if we could start early, if we could come up 1,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, I would say the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Because if we're still talking about this 18 months from now, if it's 6 more months before we even start it, and then a year before they start doing their stuff
oh,
back.
not a year before they start doing their stuff. No.
Take about a year to get it
About a
processed.
year is when the process, that's the year that the process things.
We're still looking like 18 months though by the time we're done.
Right.
So I would say the sooner the better. If there's a way for us as a group to come up with something, because we're already,
Well, let's say we start codification without any money. They came down and scanned all of that stuff, so maybe we can do the same with this program as well.
They say for.
In fact, it was actually another year or so before we actually contracted with them.
yeah, they want your
We
money.
signed the agreement.
When
Right,
is
we
the
signed an
fiscal
agreement.
year?
Yeah.
June
They
1st.
start the process, and then
So
it'll
we'll
come
be
to
done
pay it.
another 7.5 months from now.
Yeah,
It's a long time
I agree.
to sit on it. Do you pick the order they take them, or how do you just give them everything?
No, I'm just gonna give them, my understanding is they just take everything, and the benefits are they save you the research. You know, that's a big part of it right there. They have, the procedures they have are already vetted, already in motion in other departments, big and small. So they feed them out to you as you.
Then you would review it though, then you have to send it back with your recommended changes probably. And then they'd have to look and say, well, we have to do it. I can just see it being a drawn out thing if we don't get going, it could be drawn out.
It's gonna be time consuming, because that's the difficulty right now, is, you know, this whole process is to take, just like codification, is to take the research, which is the time consuming portion, out of it. And basically give you a product that's, I would hope and would assume from what I've seen, is probably 95% complete, other than altering a few local details, sending it back and having them make the adjustments and then move forward with it.
Yeah, I think it's be money well spent. I mean, you're
So
talking
then
less than
we're
$5,000.
buying a
It's-
package that way.
Right. To me, it seems like money well spent. It's less than $5,000. It's just,
Yeah, it's cheaper than doing it in-house.
oh yeah, I mean, your hours alone would be ridiculous.
Right.
No, I get it. It's only so much time in a day. It's just, it's a lot cheaper than an excavator, for instance, or something. We'll talk about that later.
We're doing juvenile transports.
Or putting someone on the clock,
Right.
to do them, or to do.
Just the
90
type,
on
just
what
the
I
time
do.
typing it would be my 2 cents.
Okay.
Chief, one little quick thing, in the contract, it says that once a year you will sit down with the union and go over the rules and regulations. Does that happen, or no?
To a degree, you know, we have our meetings throughout the year, so I wouldn't say it's all in one fell pile, but throughout the year, we get together 2 or 3 times. Matter of fact, we're hoping to aim, now that Shannon's back, I'm hoping to aim for one early December. And there's a variety of topics that would be included in that come up for conversation, we go through. And then, of course, when you do, you know, firearms, you've got part of it done there, and so, yeah. I would, not in one setting, no.
Anything else for the chief? Say the reports from the judges are in the share file. Move then to budget, finance, and audit.
Can I vote? Before you do, I just wanted to back up to code enforcement, so I came back up. Planning board unanimously passed 45 Maple Street, so 30 days from today, I can issue a building permit for construction down there.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you guys know I came back up.
All right, thank you.
Okay, good news.
Moving along.
What's the next step for that then? What are they,
Pardon me?
what would be the next step for that down there then?
Building.
You get the building
Close
permit,
they
and
are,
start
right?
putting it up.
Yeah.
Been pretty quiet about that.
I think most people are resigned to the fact it's probably gonna go in, and really not much they can do to stop it. And the best thing they can do is work with them.
Do what you want out of it.
Yeah. I think they formed an advisory group made up of residents down that way, so those, you know, that takes some of the sting away.
The people that are doing it, I think, are pretty good people. I think they're not gonna monkey around. and mess
No,
with
they wanna get it moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to budget, finance, and audit.
It starts out 2017-18 budget.
Yeah, it's just a comment, that's my part there. Have we got all the input to you, Megan?
I'm still waiting on a little bit, but I'm working with what I have.
Okay,
Yes.
so everybody's more or less gotten with you.
They do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least we've all had conversations.
All right. Okay, yes, sir.
Budget modifications, they're in there. If I switch in my share folder right here or back, it's gonna take me a little while to get back, so do you wanna go over them, or do you have them right there in front of you?
Yeah. I'm just
I
putting
looked at
up.
them earlier, it was basically what we discussed in the last meeting to get it cleaned up, at least to get the money moved for now, and then we'll straighten out the rest of the way to get them out of the red, right?
Yep.
And I did look at them, I didn't have any issues with them. Did anyone else get a chance to look them over in the share folder?
Yeah, so we had a couple there for the general fund, and then a couple for the sewer fund. Nothing for water this time around. We expect to have a few more next month.
Okay. We vote on them later, right? We don't do it now, right?
No, you can vote on them now.
So I'd make a motion that we would accept the budget modifications as proposed.
You have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse to approve the budget modifications. Trustee Humphrey made the second. Any Discussion. Okay, not hearing any. Trustee Nagel,
Aye.
trustee Zay,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
And trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Capital improvement plan establishing reserves.
That's not really an action item at all tonight. We do need to establish more specific amounts of money for the different projects we have. Everybody needs to sort of start thinking about that. We've got sort of a general category for reserves, but we haven't broken it down like for specific projects or anything. And the capital improvement plan is something I have to sit down with Scott on. Nope, that's it.
All right, so we'll go on to special building, wastewater treatment plant, capital projects with composting, MW Controls, payment application number 27 for $4,460.32. Crane Hogan, payment application number 30 for $25,097.30. And the housing rehab grant, Cassie Underwood for 36 Moria for $12,500. Motion to approve the special billings.
I have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse to approve the special billings. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from trustee Zay. Discussion. Okay. Trustee Nagel.
Aye.
Trustee Zay.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
He's always got that look sometimes.
I know, it's like mischief
Aye.
over there.
Aye.
Dennis the Menace or whatever.
Yes.
Table's on the up and up.
We're ready.
And the mayor's also an aye. That passes unanimously.
Bills, general, paid checks 16,457 through 16,521 for $24,064.14, and audit checks in the amount of $494,160.66. Under water, we paid checks 1301 through 1305 in the amount of $9,374.88, and we audited checks in the amount of $99,188.39. Under sewer, we paid checks 1132 and then checks 1143 through 1146 in the amount of $14,906.97. We audited checks in the amount of $445,945.12. Motion to approve to pay the bills.
Yeah, motion from trustee Rittenhouse to pay the bills in the general water and sewer funds. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Nagel seconds the motion. Discussion? Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Zay.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Thank you.
All right, we'll do band and bond payments as MedX all together. So band and bond payments for 12/24/17, USDA Rural Development for Water Storage Tank Phase 1, $22,702.50 interest. And under MedX billing account payments, Livingston County EMS for $4,500, no patient reimbursement. MedX invoice 2017-11 for $1,716. Village of Dansville, a payment of $8,378.13. Dansville ambulance payment of $12,567.20. Motion to pay those bills.
A motion from trustee Rittenhouse to approve the band and bond payments as well as the MedX billing account payments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Humphrey makes the second. Discussion. Gee, I'm fighting over it. I love this. Okay, no discussion. Trustee Nagel.
Aye.
Trustee Zay.
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes 5-0.
And just on that, just at the end, we are reaching, we're probably getting close to about the halfway mark of the year, so I'm gonna probably stop in probably next week or the week after, and I'll sit down with Megan and see how we are and what we're doing. And so is everyone, just as long as everyone's up to date with where they are, and this is always the time we go, Chief, you know, the overtime's looking good. And then Scott, the majority of yours has been spent, so it's time to scale it down.
We're done.
All you gotta do is
Just,
worry about snowing and
Yeah,
snow and ice.
just, it's that time of the year where the spending always starts to, we've done our fair share of it, and time to slow down and see where we're at.
Okay. Any questions of trustee Rittenhouse or any of the department heads? Not hearing any, move along to public works, so water and sewer, trustee Humphrey.
The committee met yesterday on the water and sewer updates. There were some questions that we had. Scott's gonna, well, I'll let you take over from there. You were gonna get a hold of MRB? There's
Yep, I
what,
did.
3 or 4 different things that we had questions on
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
you might be able to straighten up for us.
Bill is gonna try to get us some other information,
Okay,
and then he will sit down and meet with us.
all right.
And we have quite a few little things we need to straighten out before we present it.
Mhm.
So hopefully that'll move along quickly now and
Mhm.
you're taken care of.
Okay.
Still a long process, but we think it's completed, right?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Okay. A few items here I'd had before we let Scott talk. We did find the Bella Vista Water District and West Sparta Water District, well, we knew we had those agreements. It's interesting what they say in them. The Bella Vista Water District, which is exit 4 out here, that's an actual district. It was formed the right way back when they were trying to put that project in. That says we're not to work in the village, or in the township. The one with West Sparta says we are to work in the township up there. Because it has to go across town property, North Dansville property to get there. So that makes it rather interesting how both of those agreements, which were done roughly within, probably a 4 to 6 year time period, are so different from one another. Now, we've argued for quite some time that we don't have any agreements with these other outlying areas. Well, it turns out, lo and behold, going through the files downstairs, that we're getting ready to, dispose of some. Was it Jess found them or Karen found them?
Karen, I believe.
A whole bunch of agreements. So we do have agreements with most of the residences outside the village on these oddball roads and everything, like Brookwater and all of this. I've got actually a copy here, but they're in a folder like that. They're done with each individual resident or residents. The interesting thing about that is this agreement is binding on the heirs, successors, and assigns of the property of the second part. In other words, they don't pay up, we can take them to, put it on a lien on their taxes. So a lot of the concerns we had before don't really apply. We didn't realize that we had these. Now we find out we have them. The problem we're going to have to do now is update the list because some of these places have had new residents built. We need to make sure they're included, so we're going to have to go back and instead of doing it by name, by parcel number. But yep, they're. But it doesn't say anything about maintenance. Only that we shall provide water. That
So
mean
the-
we're
the
responsible.
Water main break, who fixed it? Still, we're still at that.
If you follow the exit 4 district, and that doesn't, it says the district or the town. It doesn't say just the town inside the district part of that, that we aren't supposed to do any work out there. So I still don't understand it. We've got to get that ironed out. But I would think that with these agreements, we sort of assume some responsibility for those lines outside the village. As far as
But not
taking
the
care, and
lines.
that's one of the reasons why we can charge higher amounts of money for out there. To pay for the labor and everything else that goes into putting those lines outside the village limits. So, those date back to the, I think it was what, late 70s, early 80s? Sometime in that time frame anyway. They've been there a while. But if it hadn't been for us cleaning out our files downstairs and getting everything in order, we never would have known that. So I would think that probably at some time we're going to want to put these, digitize them. Have them so they're searchable. So that's all I wanted to say about those. Just give you a heads up on. We do have stuff. We just got to update it. And clarify the maintenance issue, that's still a problem, but I'm guessing that it's going to fall on us if we're going to provide it. We have to have the lines and that to take care of it, provided, so I'm guessing that's why the town doesn't do anything.
The McCorder Road, was that any different than the rest of it? I haven't
I haven't read them all in detail, this is just the generic, agreement. I would have to go down and take a look at each one of them, because they got them, she has them in files for, even for Weidman Lane.
Who put in the original line?
For where?
Like, let's say they wanted to run a line down McCorder Road back in the day.
Oh, Bill Meter did that one, I know that. He put it all in.
So
For all those
they
houses
paid
down
for
there?
it?
I don't know who paid for it.
I have no idea, it's been, they say it goes back to the late
Was
seventies,
he a
early
village
eighties.
worker, or he wasn't a village worker then?
I think he was
Town.
In town at that point.
So.
But we've obviously got
McCorder,
agreements,
They have at it.
same thing with Cumminsville. We got agreements down there. And there are also some sewer agreements as well for those areas which have village sewer. So, I don't know if that's, pardon?
Better get reading.
Yeah, there's a lot there. They say it's rather than a district, you got individual agreements, which is better than nothing. I mean, before we thought we had nothing. And it was interesting because that's something that the auditors wanted us to get was agreements
What
out.
about if we decide to ditch all that stuff and start off scratch with these agreements?
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to redo it. But I don't know,
With each
Parcel.
parcel or whatever?
I think that once you get all the agreements in order and they're attached to that parcel, you wouldn't have to redo it
No.
now that you have them.
Simplify it.
like I say, if you computerize it and everything, that'll take care of it. Then you'll always know.
So
You can just look it right
people
up.
can read it in layman's terms, you know.
None of that stuff's in layman's terms, so that's
No,
the sad part.
it's-
Nothing, and nothing new would be either. Probably more
It's almost like they
complicated.
all read, but like you're reading, Old
Old,
English.
yep, Old English.
Yeah.
It's all legalese.
And I think a lot of that would head in the direction that we'd be able to work a little bit better with the town and the village together if we could work some of that stuff out, you know.
Well, time will tell. Okay, Scott, you got anything for water and sewer?
You just have in here about the cybersecurity items.
Yeah, I forgot that one. Bobby went ahead and he finished out the form.
Yep.
I have it here, I've been looking it over. That's due, January 1st, I believe?
And he has completed pretty much everything the plant that
Yep.
Department of Health wanted, so we should be good there.
We have to get a report back to them, right?
I know our last meeting we had talked about, you guys were having meetings with LMC in regards to all of that. How did that all pan out?
We can talk about that a little later. Probably ought to go into exec session on that. There's some potential issues. Not quite the way we thought it would. Let's put it this way, I consulted with an attorney. So we'll talk about that later. Okay, how about streets? Trustee Zay, what do you got?
We start out with the Adams Street. We've been doing a lot of work down there.
Adams Street, other than removing the poles and then putting another top on next year, or maybe even the year after at this point, it will be completed finally. We put the curbing in last week on the corner where we had to for the handicap ramp. And today we put the concrete in for that. So there's, a little bit of topsoil work here and there, but pretty much done. Completed finally.
And once them poles get moved, it'll be nice down through there.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's 3 that can come out now.
A good place for a chief to have his boys set up there by the time them poles get out of there.
There's a tree down there, it's kind of dangerous there about the curb.
They cut that
It's a
down.
funny spot. Oh, did
They
they?
cut that down.
Oh, I must have missed it.
I had it marked and everything.
Nice sweeping round curve up through there now. I even saw somebody yesterday use our little cutoff up there on Knox Street, is it?
I use it
Yeah,
all
they
the
use
time.
that. Yeah, I noticed a
Keep
lot.
forgetting to use that, I come to a straight, holy mackerel, I forgot about this, it's closer to home that way, but I'm already about.
I saw a lady use the tag, she didn't stop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is there a yield sign there?
There's a stop sign there, but
Doesn't
she
have a
didn't
white
stop.
border.
Oh, doesn't
Border,
either.
so it's optional.
Then we did some street paving. Elizabeth Street turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah, just for a-
It's pretty smooth.
Yeah.
It'll get a lot smoother next year.
Yeah. It's a good start though. I mean, it's better than it was.
After the sewer lines, right?
Storm sewer.
Storm sewers, yep. They're going in next year for sure.
Nothing's for
Nothing's
sure.
for sure.
Well,
The plan is,
we have to have answers for people.
That is. the
just
plan.
say the plan
It's a
is.
plan, but that plan's a liquid plan.
Yep,
Depends on, I guess, how the winter goes.
that's right.
Is this just cold patch? Is that patching of certain streets? Or what?
I don't know, Pete.
Well, that was the, just, you know, are we done with all the little stuff that had to get done?
Today.
Today,
We
okay.
just finished it today.
It was just spots here and there,
Yeah.
Spots everywhere, yeah.
yeah.
Been all over.
I was approached the other day about a couple spots that you might want to have one of the guys go out and take a look. One is up here at the end of Church Street where it runs into
That's the best.
West Liberty.
Church Street's gonna have to be repaved next year.
Yeah, but if we can get something in there for this year, I don't know what you can do at this point.
Cold patch, it's bad,
Yeah.
I would definitely agree.
And the gentleman also said something about one of the other corners, I don't know if it was Ocean Street and Main.
Right out here's getting bad.
But that's the state over
Yeah, I
there.
know. I don't know if we got anyone that we can contact, be like, hey, next year, you get it.
Well, you hit that one and you take right off.
Washington and Maine, that little spot, we fixed that today.
Oh, okay,
That was bad by that catch basin. That's when it.
I think so.
Yeah, it was quite
Mhm.
deep.
All right.
North Elizabeth between Maury Ave and the circle, it's getting rough down through there too.
By Ronnie Vegas's right in that area.
All the way to, all
That's
the way
the
up
other
to.
end of town.
We can't do everything down on Washington Street. So we gotta look at all, you gotta do all the streets.
Everything goes to Scoville's.
Well, you can walk, you don't need a dog on the street.
Wait till you get your walking bridge.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that in a while.
And then I know we were talking about the tax status down there at the dump. I don't know.
Yeah, we,
Whatever.
kind of, I think cut our throats on that one. Talked to her today, Holly, and now that it's come to light,
Paying tax.
we will be paying tax.
On the property?
On,
I thought there was an agreement.
well, we probably won't have to pay town taxes, but we'll have to pay county and school taxes. The way she said, it's not assessed for a whole lot, so.
Can't build on
Until
it.
we put a building on it.
And she said if we put a building on it, it would just be assessed for whatever the building is, you know, it's not gonna like jack the price of the property up because it's, you can't even sell the property.
So if you're gonna pay taxes
So
on
you
it,
can't
might as well
sell
go
it,
ahead
you
and
don't
put
pay
the
the
building.
taxes, it'll go back on taxes.
We already burnt that. We might as well put the building up.
Maybe we can annex the road out through there.
Yeah, but then you'd be responsible for that bridge.
No county would be.
Yeah, you don't wanna.
Yeah, they're
But if you annexed it out, we took control of that, so there would be one continuous property.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't make any difference. The county would still be responsible for the bridge, just like they were on
Oh,
Red
is that what
Jacket.
it is? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
They took responsibility for the Red Jacket Bridge.
Do they
That was
want-
county money, not
Do they want
ours.
Seward?
Hmm?
Do they want Seward Street?
Well, that's probably a little different. That's more considered more of a culvert
That's
than a
right,
bridge.
there was county money put in
It's a
that
great
bridge.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd go broke trying to maintain that
County
sucker.
Creek.
Yeah, we still got,
It's a creek, it's just like Cancer Creek, it's a creek.
Maybe we should take a look at that.
it is
Because I doubt that the town's gonna want to let us annex it. They have to agree to it.
Anything else there for the streets?
Do we know where the signs at the end of North Elizabeth Street came from that say, no school traffic, DPD?
Where?
When did that appear?
I just heard about it yesterday, went down thinking, it's gotta be something.
Where's it at?
North Elizabeth at the dead end and all the way up through the circle, there's about a half dozen signs that have been posted either in lawns or on the phone poles or on, I think there's one on a stop sign or something that says I think it says no school traffic. Then down the bottom right-hand corner, DPD, they're manufactured signs, white on, red on white. I hadn't heard any rumors.
We had pulled all them parking signs down through there, I thought, 2 years ago. When I first came on the board, it was discussed because there was people who actually lived in those houses that were parking on the side of the street.
That was,
And there was complaints that, well, why are they getting ticketed? Well, they live there.
Yeah.
that was on the,
But those signs didn't have what Charlie talked
No, but all those signs should have been
I think
removed.
all we took off is the ones on Circle Drive.
I thought they all went up about the same time.
All those original signs went up at the same time when the school was under construction 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then the conversation last year, whatever it was, or the year before, pertained only to the Circle Drive portion, and other folks on Livingston Boulevard and such wanted to maintain theirs, they don't want any parking out there, thinking
Yeah.
about it. So we left all those, but these are brand new signs that have shown up in the last, well, the person who put it to me said they noticed them within the last week. And they're, you know, manufactured signs, white background.
Your guys didn't do it.
They're not ours, and they gotta come down, right?
Yeah, they gotta come down, so I just wondered if anybody heard rumors on where they came from.
You know?
about.
First I've heard of it.
Come claim them, I bet you
Yeah.
find out who put them up
Yeah,
there.
so
Pretty easy.
I'm sure when you pull up with the screw gun to take them down, someone will come out.
Oh, my signs.
Yeah.
I mean, neighborhood, don't want the people down to there. Oh, yeah, I shouldn't have said.
Okay.
We under, this is still parks and recreation too, right?
We have one more that, did we vote, we did not vote on testing the bridge over in,
We did.
Yeah.
you approve it?
We
No, I don't
approved
think we did.
We were gonna prove it tonight,
Yeah.
and, because they figured it wasn't anything that we couldn't wait till tonight to approve.
Mm-hmm.
that. That was the one that cost
Like
$1,700 or something like that.
Yeah, let's take a look here. I got it.
I had a question while he's looking that up. Are we paid all up to date for the football and the softball lights or anything down at Babcock Park? Has that all been taken care of this year? I know that last year that was taken care of. Has there been anything on that this year?
I noticed in the budget there was nothing.
No, I don't.
I noticed that as well.
No, I don't think so. I'll have to take a look and tally that all up
Yeah.
again and see if I still have the same contacts as a year ago. and-
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And if you have any problems with them, just let me know and I can make some contacts. But that,
yeah.
I noticed when I was going
I
through
can
the
leave myself
paperwork
a note.
that still showed that it was out there. And I know that there was football lighting and there was, we let everyone know at the beginning of the year that they were gonna pay for their lights.
Okay.
As long as he's looking that stuff up too, who takes care of this gazebo over here?
We do.
Do we?
It's ours.
Anybody in particular takes care of it, just the village? Who does it?
Department of Public Works. No one in particular. The Bob Infantino normally handles the electrical over there, though.
You know, as far as shrubbery and plants and things like that.
Charlie and I plant flowers on our own time. It's not village related, it's volunteer related.
Yep. So, anybody wanting to help with that, could
That would be super.
yep. A couple of people who might be interested in it.
Did Don Seiler used to
Yeah,
live
that
over
would
there
be
before
helpful.
years ago too?
Don was the moving force behind that gazebo.
Oh, that's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. He had the committee that put the original one up before it fell down. They didn't put the right bracing in it.
There's some bricks
Oh, that's right.
around it.
Remember the big wind came and just lifted the roof right up and
Like that and dates.
down it all came.
Kind of getting
It's a good way to re-roof.
just colored and colored up, we can't really read them anymore, so we clean them up, I guess.
Yeah, there's a stone for, who used
Women's
to do
Civic.
it?
Women's
Women's
Civic's got
Civic, so we're
stone.
gonna get rid of that, 'cause
We're
they
gonna-
haven't done it.
We're gonna turn it face down.
Yeah, or we're gonna turn it,
So we still have the decoration, but they're not maintaining it, we are.
yeah. Charlie does more than I do, but I still take some.
No, that's good, you know.
In fact,
Should keep them up to date too, as far as maintaining the wood and everything too, you know.
we probably ought to notify everybody that had planters this year, they need to get them cleaned up for the fall now, since everything is dead. You know,
Yep.
growth has turned brown and it's winter time. I was out there yesterday walking up and down Main Street and noticed that.
To take all the flowers out of the monument down there, or down to the, that's all cleaned up down there. Up to the
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Park?
Memorial Park. That's all cleaned up good down there.
I think the weekend does that.
They weren't doing it during the summer.
No, you did that, I saw you down there.
Yeah, come on, no.
Dolphin.
Or it just died back so badly, it just
Yeah.
matches the ground now, looks good.
And I mean, leaves are in full bloom now, and you're getting a run of leaves, but what about the creek between Prine and William? Is that gonna be something that's gonna be done this fall?
We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes, because the excavator's gone, so.
Okay,
So anyhow, back to this, I think we should approve it for 2120, just in case we need to do a couple of these other tests. They're asking for, if there's chloride found in the test, then those tests are one for $120, one for $58. Just to see how bad the chloride is, whether
What's the name of the company?
Atlantic Testing Laboratories.
okay. We just run that under new business, I guess. Do I already have it in there? No. Okay. And under Parks and Recreation, well, Halloween parade went, I think we spent like $1 over our budget. Wasn't a whole lot.
8.
Was it 8?
It's 408.
Yeah, it was $8 over.
Price of cider went up.
We can get a budget mod in on that one.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of donuts and cider left. I mean, there was some, but I don't think there was that big a turnout.
Started slow and got busier after.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was weird.
Okay, and just that we had a committee meeting for this walking tour. I think we finally have solidified the committee for that project. And we'll be putting together a plan and everything. Our next meeting is on, I believe, December 5th at 8 o'clock in the morning right here. If anybody's interested in coming on over, more than welcome. More the merrier. So I guess now we go to technology. And today we had our website update with, what was it, Colleen. Sarah something or another, I forgot how her last name's pronounced, but we got a bunch of marching orders out of that one, which and we're in pretty good shape. If you haven't had a chance to look at the site, I can get you the email address so if you want to look it up. It's coming along pretty good. There's a lot of things we got to do with it yet, but it's getting down now. It's just really small stuff. So probably in a couple weeks we'll be done with that, hopefully, and we're looking at the middle of December to go into our training. And we still have the deadline, or I should say the unveiling, the first of the year. That's,
We'll be able to get right in on that on these pads.
should be able to.
Yep.
Mhm.
As long as you have internet access,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then you can access it or anything.
Okay, and codification, we're still working on that. And I guess now we go to unfinished business. Look at that first item.
So, they called me on the excavator, they had somebody that wanted to rent it, and that particular excavator it's a rental, and whoever had it didn't take that great a care of it. So there's another one over in Batavia. So I said, go ahead and take it, the rent that this guy pays, we will get, if we decide to purchase the excavator. So that's why I let it go, I figured it's not gonna hurt us any. So
We were gonna get that one anyways, right?
Right. So I figured
So we get the credit for it.
we get the credit. So I figured, why not? Downside to that is, yes, and another week or so we get Lee's finished, I wanted to finish William Street. So, again, I wouldn't mind having a couple of trustees. There's a few other options now that I've come across. I could get maybe a couple trustees or the mayor or trustee or whatever, where I could have like the cat guy come in and maybe another salesman and just go over this stuff, if that's possible.
Go for what stuff?
Other options that we have.
Okay.
And then, I guess make a decision at the next board meeting, one way or the other.
So what have we got into it so far?
I think we'll have, I believe, around 39,000.
And no matter what we do, that's gonna get rolled into it.
Right. And then we'll get to 6,500 if we can wait the month, which, you know, could be a
It'd be
week.
get
Friday
it
already.
45,000 towards,
Right.
Plus the hauling on this one going out, it's not counting against us, right?
No,
So
the
when they
nice
come
part
back, they
is,
can-
the
they
nice
drop
part is
it
they
William
drop it over
Street.
here, that's why I did it. They're one of the reasons why, yes, exactly, I didn't have to move it, which is not a huge deal, but it costs money. We've been fortunate so far, Chris has done it for us, but, you know, how many times can you?
Go to that well.
But, so yeah,
that doesn't run dry very often though.
no, he's been very good,
Yeah. He's good to the village.
so that's kind of where we're at.
So now, the one that's over in Batavia, how many hours are on that one?
We have around the same 1,100,
But we were hoping to get one around the 500 mark, right?
and that's the problem. Not a problem, but they're willing to do some other things, and plus I got another price from the John Deere dealer on one.
That doesn't get afforded.
No, but we lose our money on it, and it's, you know, really not comparing, because it's resale is what we have to look at, and there's no comparison between the two, John Deere or Cat, which is zero. The Cat will bring, you know, 70 grand more every day than the John Deere will, unfortunately. So, those are the things that, I mean, I can just work through it all, bring it to the next board meeting if that's what you like. It's just nice sometimes to have, you know, a couple.
Well, when you gonna have this gentleman here? Or gentleman?
That's the problem, is trying to set up with everybody to,
See what we can work out.
yeah, if you wanna just do it with you, Pete, we can do that, or it's just nice to have,
We'll set up a date and
I'm available, I'm gonna set it.
Before you leave, then I'll give you some dates, and if it hits on, and you can hit one of those dates, or, you know, in the morning time, you know, there's one day a week a lot of times, and you can.
can
hit
we
on one
have
of
a
those dates.
meeting, is that still figured like a public meeting? Can you do that with 3 board members if it's like,
if
We would
it's
just
just,
have to advertise.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be
Well-
around, then I'll just back out, so you don't have to do it.
Then you don't have to
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
available,
special-
yeah.
if they're putting on a demonstration or something, no, you do not have to do
that's
that.
what I wondered.
It'd be like going to a seminar or anything, if everybody was there at one time. As long as we're not running it, somebody else is doing the presenting, we're safe.
Yeah, that's true.
It would just be nice to have more of you there that way.
We can't make any decisions or anything
No,
at that
no,
time.
I'm not asking you to do that.
No,
Okay,
I'll give you some dates, and if he's not available, you whatever.
I should be available.
Yeah,
okay.
okay. So we'll scratch that one out of vote tonight. And we'll go to the 384E, PD benefit. You want to speak at all on that, Megan?
We did talk about it at the last meeting. The information is on the share folder, so basically what just needs to be decided, because it is a contractual obligation. So what we need is just a decision as to whether or not we're gonna open the benefit for 1 year, or if we're gonna just open it continuously. And we talked about the benefit for us last time we opened it for just 1 year. Was because it saves the village money in the long run, and we don't have high turnover here, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to keep it open. And then Dan had just mentioned adding that it's in the contract already, but also add it to another set of procedures that we have for new hires, so that it's in a couple of places. just for checks and balances in case there's turnover in the clerk's office.
Yeah, there's gotta
So
be like a
we'll do that.
checklist of all the things a new employee should go through, right?
Yep.
And just add that to that, and then it should turn a light bulb on for somebody.
Well, anybody like to make a motion then to what, a year or open-ended?
The open-ended is how much? The year was like, what, 2,200 or something?
Let's see.
And what was
Just
our,
have to get back to the sheriff.
yeah, that's okay. I think, we're probably all in agreement to do the 1 year, right?
Saves money, yeah.
Make a motion, we, do the 384E benefit, open it for 1 year,
Okay.
and add it, make sure, with that being said, adding that to the hiring process so that we would know that we have to open it again at the year of a new hire.
Okay, a motion from trustee Rittenhouse to open the 384E benefit for 1 year. Do I have a second? Second from trustee Nagel. Okay. Any discussion further? Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Zay?
Aye.
And trustee Nagel? And the mayor's an aye. Motion passes 5-0. And just let me interrupt here for a minute. You ladies wanna leave? Is that it? I can see you're getting bored. You need some signatures,
I
right?
don't know if-
Anybody here can sign it for you.
Sorry.
No, that's
No,
okay.
you're fine. You can come back next month too, you know, we meet same time, same
Actually,
place.
counting to the first one, it's at 6. It's earlier.
Yeah,
Goes longer.
sometimes.
Yes, definitely.
Well, when they're signing that, I might use the restroom.
Okay?
Go right ahead.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
You're out of order.
Thank you.
Yep, you have a nice evening now.
Yeah, I gotta go watch the West Stars, that's more important.
You don't got a
Oh.
DVR?
No, but I want to see in person.
Were you gonna
I like
ride
it.
there to the, gonna go to Hollywood?
No, I'm gonna go watch it on.
You said in person.
I love the DVR because I can skip the commercials.
That's what we do at
See you
home.
guys later.
Spoiled.
I get through a football game in about an hour.
I don't know why you didn't do
Oh, I know,
DVR.
I know.
I
Cannot watch
DVR
regular
everything.
TV,
I
no.
watch things from the night before.
I can't watch regular TV.
I would have been there next year, or next month, because
I'm gonna say,
I did it.
you and Sharon both do that. You know that?
Well, I couldn't remember if I needed them up here, I thought that's what I forgot.
Okay. I guess while we're at it, are there any comments on the community development block grant? If not, I'll entertain a motion
motion to
to
close.
adjourn or close the public hearing. Got a motion from trustee Rittenhouse, second?
Now second it.
Okay, trustee Zay seconds the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Alright.
Opposed? Okay, motion
Here,
carries.
Mike.
I don't think he's gonna mind.
Now, I noticed on the share folder, and we can discuss again so when Mike comes back, because I went down through the thing, it was the MOA from the Livingston County EMS, and I went through that in regards to the billing, and I know we discussed it, so I knew right where to go, and I found it, you know, like, wait, there it is. One thing I didn't find on there, and I don't know if it was slipping me, the end date on that, it had an effective date, but it didn't have an end date that I could find. Is that just like an automatic reoccurring?
Yep, so I looked at it also and I did find where it says that it renews every year unless either party gives,
Yep.
it's like 30 days or 60 days or, you know, something that so many days notice. And that was April, right? I believe is April when it was signed.
You know, in 2001.
So that's when it began, so it would be, we'd have to look to see how many days, so it would be like February, you
I'd
know.
like to put that on the action item
You
list so
know,
that we remember.
If you want to discuss that.
Because I would like to
believe-
discuss it with them and say, you know, there's no reason why, I mean, we all get paid through MedX billing. When we get paid on that invoice, we would pay them on that invoice. I don't see a reason why we would we would pay them before we're paid.
Mhm.
Because we're not an entity of
Unlimited resources?
unlimited resources. You know, and, I mean, that would be my take on that. We discussed this, I know, before.
Mhm. Okay. Trustee Nagel, we closed the public hearing in your absence.
Okay. So we are in,
It was unanimous in one absence,
So the
so.
public hearing on the thing we opened up in the beginning,
yeah.
that's closed.
We didn't want to waste time. I figured you wouldn't have disagreed with
Didn't
that.
take you long.
Nobody stood up to oppose it.
Hurry up, hurry up.
The term is 30 days. 30 days on that.
30 days notice? Yeah, not a problem.
I mean, because if all the payments, they probably submit to MedX, probably the same thing that we submit, and then they take 225 out of there. When we get paid, then they should get the 225.
Okay. Next item is discuss and vote on the ambulance contract. I think the only question was when we were going to start. Is it effective the date it's approved for a year? Or do we go back to the fiscal year? How do we want to do that?
The fiscal year would put us in what, May?
Yeah. Last time, I think we went with the date it was signed off on.
Go retroactive,
Mm.
go back.
I'm trying to remember, did Jerry say something about,
You wanted to go a year out from, like,
The current.
the current, like, January 1 plus a year or something.
mm,
I forget exactly. But, I mean, either way, I mean, when we discussed it with the ambulance company, we were showing them, I mean, the split, it's not like the account, or the village is making money off of them. The money goes into an account.
mhm,
It pays their bills out of that account, but it really comes down to how much money do they want to set aside for their ambulances, because their ambulances will be paid out of that account. So it's not like we're putting it back into the general account and using it to buy other things. It's really used for their own sake. So that was what we said to them is, you know, if your ambulances, you're looking at 2018 and you're looking to buy new ambulances, then you may want to put more money into your account so that you have money in there. So they did raise it 2%. So now the split, which technically the split's 100% to them, but we take out now, we'll get 42%, I think, and they get 58, or, yeah,
yeah, I think that was it.
rather than 60-40. To try to start moving it to put more money away, because,
That was the issue, that they didn't understand that money is dedicated back
the
to
ambulance.
ambulances. That's been our policy all along.
you know, a little bit of the money, if the fire department goes on a call, a little bit of that money will go to the fire department. But other than that, it's really them saving their own money. And I think that was when Jerry didn't even know that, and he was like, oh, I didn't understand, you know, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, your money still sits there. I think he called you to get a number of what was actually there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is stepping the other way, so I mean, I'm not even opposed to saying prove it for whatever, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not like it's gonna change anything, the money's the money. I think it's a bigger deal to deal with the county and when they get paid
Yeah.
than it is to,
I'll just be having, we could, if he wants to go starting with January, just go out a year from January 1.
yeah, effective this contract
Yeah.
through January of 2019.
Okay.
January 1 to 2019, so you're really signing a 13-month contract, but it doesn't really matter, it's,
Oh, yeah.
nothing changes.
That motion,
I'll make that into a motion, we approve that for the next 13 months.
and a second by trustee Humphrey. Okay, any discussion? Okay, trustee Nagel,
Aye.
trustee Zay,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
and the mayor's an aye. Next item are the ambulance service rate increase. I believe that was on the share folder, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't see that.
Was it?
We talked about.
Was that
it
on the
a
share
little
folder, Megan? I know that we,
Jerry gave a handout.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
not
it.
sure
Yep.
if I scanned it in or not.
I got it right here.
bit. We
I
talked a
know I s-
little bit too.
I have a-
Right, so we were just talking about going.
Oh,
so
2
we
weeks
have
ago.
to do
When we wanted to make it so.
We're gonna just go to the means on all, which is the average. We don't wanna go low, we don't wanna go high, we just were looking at the average, and so you see a 650 would be like 695.
Right.
525, I mean, that would be,
Okay.
so I didn't have any issues with the,
No.
going to the average. We're not going high, we're not going low, we're just going in the middle.
And guess we'll put those rates in with the regular rates that we approve fees and that we approve each year for the, organizational meeting.
Now, one thing about this, I mean, I remember back when I had a procedure over at Noise, and I had no insurance, and I got the bill. And part of the bill was, if you paid this in a certain amount of time, and you're paying by cash, it was 80% they took off from the bill. You paid 20% of the bill. I laughed back then, because it was, I thought, well, that's the markup then. But, and if we probably look at the number of people who don't actually pay, they're probably the ones who don't have the insurance, they just don't have the cash, and they're just not able to pay. Which, led me to believe that if you're paying the entire bill in cash, is there something that we should do for those people? Because we're not gonna get paid that money probably anyways, and I bet you when you look at the course of the year, that's the money that we're not taking in, I just didn't know if that was something, if paid in cash, you take a lesser stipend because they're paying in cash, and if, I don't know. And mine was quite a procedure because my appendix had exploded and I didn't have any, and I ended up going, I went and took a loan because I thought I could have saved that 80%. And I went and got a loan and paid it off, and then paid it off over the course of a year or two. So I don't know, I mean, just to throw food for thought is do we do something for cash people, the people who maybe don't have health insurance? Just a thought. We don't have to really do anything more on it tonight, but if we capture who's not paying, or the people without the insurance probably,
Yeah.
anything we get paid.
Which sort of
If
gets,
they pay us $225, we can pay the county. Recoup that portion.
the only people we really go after are the ones who get a check from the insurance company and don't turn it
That
over.
we had before.
Yep.
We had that, last year?
Yeah, there was one person out there, I guess, that's still out there that keeps,
Never.
I don't know where we've ended up with that. I know in the more recent discussion with Jerry that came up.
And we instructed him to, if they lived in the village, to contact PD, and if they lived outside the village, to contact the state
Sheriff.
police or the sheriff, depending on where they live.
Okay. So, we got a motion and a second on that, did we?
But
Okay.
then we're gonna do,
Oh.
which one?
This is the rates. Gonna go in the middle.
Middle,
Yep.
okay.
Mhm.
So I thought, that's what these are here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll see it somewhere. Okay, any further discussion? If not, go ahead and vote. Trustee Nagel?
All right.
Trustee Zay?
Aye.
Trustee Rittenhouse?
Aye.
Trustee Humphrey?
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye.
Who was the motion in a second?
Motion from trustee Rittenhouse with a second from trustee Humphrey.
Thank you.
Okay, so last under old business is the lease with Matthews Buses, or dynamic mention, I guess, or management. Any questions on that one? The only thing that was sort of holding it up was they wanted a perpetuity clause in there, but there's also a clause in there that gives us authority to notify them that we want to disband too. So no matter what is in there, we can still take it away. We just have to give them notice. And this way you don't have to keep renewing it every year, or every so many years. Questions?
No, I just, it was brought to us because they were gonna be building a building and something, and I've heard through the grapevine that the building's not gonna go there now. And,
Indicated something to that.
it's been indicated they're not gonna build a building there, so now, I mean, what they came to us with is, now that, and I'm under the understanding, that's the reason why they want this to be hurried up and taken care of now, is because they're in the process of moving in a different direction, which is perfectly fine, and that's understandable, it's 100% up to them. But I mean, they're,
Why do they want it then? If they're not
because it'll
gonna,
probably just turn into bus storage.
So they can store the buses down.
So
just
just big
become
parking
bus
lot.
storage.
Big parking lot.
Basically, that's it.
I mean, that's not a problem as long as they keep it clean. I mean, it's just wild through there anyway. The front end of it, you can't really see it that much during the spring, summer, fall. Except when the leaves are dropped. Is that a problem? If they don't put a building, I don't see where it's a big problem. I mean, that was the intent, so they'd have access back and forth.
And it's a chance for us to get that cleaned up anyway, you know.
They're probably not gonna clean it any more than it is.
No, I wouldn't say so.
They're not gonna do it anymore unless they just,
Oh, yeah, I get you now,
they're
because.
not gonna do anything with it. We were hoping it was gonna get cleaned up down through there and be a nice building there, and it would all be kind of a couple of nice buildings, but, now it's not
You
gonna.
know, we need to investigate
They're in town.
their intents, right, yeah, and find out before we.
Does it change anything, really?
Because you can still revoke it.
Yeah, I mean, still regardless, if 30 days we're not happy, give them that notice and it's terminated.
Because they did make a parking lot over there for the buses that they can't use right now, right?
Did they want to be able to start using that to come in and out of that?
Well, they've been
They have
using it.
been.
Yeah.
They have buses over there now.
No, I mean, to put a driveway in from
From Main Street
63
back.
in.
They'd have to get approval from the state, that wouldn't be from us. Curb cut
I
would be
mean,
the
is
state.
that the plan, the original plan was so.
The original plan was there was gonna be an entrance right there, but.
An entrance, that's
An
what I
entrance
was
to a
saying.
nice,
Business facility, right?
business facility, the world
Showroom.
headquarters for them and all that.
You know,
and,
maybe if we, go ahead with it, I'll give them some influence to, go ahead with their original idea. As long as they got it. What's it gonna hurt us, like, nobody's letting them have it,
If it's gonna turn into a parking lot, I mean,
That's,
it might be nice to have some sort of vegetation screening. I hate pine trees, so I'm not suggesting that for a second. It's private property, so I'm not sure that that's even feasible, but you're looking right out the front windows of the public high school, and
You can't see them right now, so it's pretty well vegetated.
I'm gonna say there's a
Drive
small
by,
forest
you
there
can't see
already.
Or they could decide to park more buses down through there and clean it out right straight to Main Street. Now you got, which they can do, but,
yeah, but
and rather than having a nice looking building in our village, you're gonna have a parking lot.
use buses.
Yep.
With a bunch of yellow buses parked there, which, again, that's their property. But, I mean, that wasn't what the overall intent of this started out to be. It had no intent, I mean, it was because they were gonna put in a building there, and they were gonna, use that to get to the old building and whatever, and it was just gonna be,
Are they moving it out to a new, different location?
what I've heard.
Yep, I heard the same thing.
Just north. Which again is, they can,
The whole operation?
If it's a whole operation, then it's a.
just probably wouldn't build a building now and just.
What are we
Deafening.
waiting for?
The noise is,
If we don't,
I'm just thinking about options, I don't know.
if they're not pushing the issue to get it, then there's no sense doing it then.
well, they were pushing it here real heavily, I don't know.
Well, we hadn't heard anything. from
Yeah,
This started
we
a
pushed
year and a half
it, we
ago.
pushed it,
Yes.
and then
All of a sudden, it's like, hurry
then
up.
suddenly they wanted to do it, and they wanted it done yesterday, and now we're hearing that things may be changing, so do they still want it? Do we know?
But like I said, that's hearsay right now.
Well, I'm sure they want it,
Mhm.
because it's gonna be access to their,
And what difference does it make?
Well, like Danny said, if they did clear it all the way to the road.
Well, they can do that
those
anyway,
Trees, pardon?
yeah, but
They
then
can
they'd
do
have
that
to put the-
anyway.
they'd have to put the entrance on the front,
you know.
and they wouldn't do that if they didn't have access to come across there. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't have the access to come in from the other side.
They're kind of landlocked if they don't have keys, but I mean, that land's kind of useless to them, really.
Mhm.
Because what good is it, even if you come off of Main? If you can't cross out back, it's kind of worthless, really. And I guess I could drive all the way around.
I would just love to, you know, they came to us and we've been contacted by one of their employees several times. And they were pushing to go in a direction, and is that still the direction that they're looking to go?
I'll get him on the phone and have a little conference call.
Maybe that conversation should be had tomorrow or some other day here
And
during,
again,
during business hours.
If we decided, oh, you know, and again, the easement's not a big issue, but if they're not gonna have entrance off the front, it would be nice to have vegetation, but nothing stops them, once the easement's there, to just clear that out and then have that road with all buses, and then it would just be an eyesore from Main Street, and from, you know.
I guess we ought to be asking, is Aaron the one to talk to?
One to start with. I can call him.
Just table it.
I wouldn't worry about it tonight.
No, not tonight.
No, I table it and see what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they've been using it anyways for the last year and a half to 2 years anyways. I mean, it's not like it's changing anything.
It's only because we threatened to block it off that they start getting antsy. No, we can do that, find out what's going on.
That was my top.
Sounds like that's gone already, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, we can table it until next month.
It's 9 o'clock.
Motion to continue.
Their motion continued.
Trustee Rittenhouse, a second.
All right, we're going.
That's like it.
Second for trustee Zay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. No? Okay, moving right along. New business. Got that proclamation from the town of Amherst for their bicentennial bicentennial celebration. It's just a simple affair, congratulating them and all that good stuff.
Motion to send the bicentennial proclamation to
Okay,
Amherst.
got a motion from trustee Rittenhouse. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from trustee Zay. Don't fight over it. Discussion? Okay, trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
trustee Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee Zay,
Aye.
and trustee Nagel.
Aye.
Mayor's an aye as well. I'm not even sure where we stood on this thing with the soccer team liability insurance.
We haven't heard anything back from NYMER. We know the Wensley agency was kind of on the same page as we were, not really understanding why we would involve ourselves, because it's not on our property. And they haven't reached back out to me, so it's just kind of hanging out there right now.
Well, let's continue to hang. And, oh, here comes another one.
You put it on there.
I know, I was up for it. You brought it up in the last meeting.
I did get just one, I'm still waiting for 2 more quotes. The guy gave me some interest rates, and we didn't touch base with each other to explain them today. I don't know if you could make head or tails of that, but there's some different interest rates there. But Charlie and I, we've been going over the budget a little bit. He's added, or he has to add quite a bit to his budget this year, so I think we could pull this off and pay for this truck without borrowing any money, like we did before. Pardon?
I don't have my reader, so.
Yeah, it's hard, yeah, and there's a couple different rates here, and I don't really
The
understand.
interest is down, why not borrow, you know?
Well,
I don't want to
I don't like to borrow.
don't pay
We don't
cash,
have
don't
to.
pay cash for fire trucks. We pay-
But that would put the excavator gone then, right?
No, because in the sewer side, we were gonna put a 10-wheeler dump truck in there.
Yeah, because I was up to the dump the other day and I seen Dougie using the other one, and he's
Yeah,
hauling,
our truck sits down there broken down right now, it won't start, I don't know what.
the one he was hauling with?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it, it's never bothered since the day we owned it. It just won't turn over, the guy was there today, hopefully he fixed it, but it's something minor. But, yeah, so basically, there's really no reason that can't be funded by all three funds,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, I would suggest that we try to work very hard to just pay for that and not finance it. That would free up $30,000 in the budget this year. And I think I could make the budget work nicely. So that's my recommendation, if we can do that. And I think we can.
Well, my concern is pickup trucks.
That I have budgeted, and I need to, I was gonna bring that up, but I couldn't get the prices today. But I have one truck budgeted this year in my budget, so I was just gonna wait till next, board meeting to bring it in, to get you guys to approve it, that way I have all the numbers. Cause yeah, I got Frank's truck that's done now, it's gonna be off the road. And the Donnie's, that's the old purple one, and
Oh, okay,
Donnie's.
yeah.
I can probably get Donnie's by it, needs some exhaust work, it's got a huge hole in the floorboard, in the floor, but we can fix that, it's not, that truck's not shot. We can get by with that truck for probably another year. And then maybe buy another used one, because they bought that used, and they paid like 10 grand for that truck. Actually, it was purchased.
What
with
about
Bill.
Bobby's? That one there's death's door.
It is, but that one we took out of the budget last year. So, that'll have to be rebudgeted this year, that'll make it till spring, till for the next budget. I do have that in again, so hopefully we can keep that in and replace Bobby's. And again, we could replace Bobby's with something used too if we could find it, but trucks are hard to find, very hard to find. Not hard to find, but the price of them.
And it just, you know,
We're trying to give you guys a schedule of vehicle death. That's the right way to put
it
it.
seems to me that a couple of these are already dead. They just don't know it yet.
We're hoping to be able to
We like when they don't know it, because they keep running.
We're hoping to be able to provide the board here real shortly with a schedule that shows the anticipated disposal time of equipment. So that you can actually look at it and say, we're anticipating, the department heads, all departments, volunteer and paid, are all anticipating the death of the following equipment in this particular year. And then you can look out to 3, 5, 10, 15 years out and say, if we do a $400,000 fire truck today, this puts us in difficulties next year for 2 pickup trucks and a police car and whatever. And, you know, so that you can actually get a clue as to, on average, how much do you need to stick away per year on average. Maybe you're not gonna spend $150,000 this year, you're gonna do 75, but 2 years from now, you're gonna do 350. You know, so we're trying to provide that for you, so you have that to work from, so you can project out through. If I do this today, I'm in a bind here, or, you know what, I can do this today, because I'm in good shape the next.
So let me ask you a question.
I should have just kept my mouth shut.
Probably. You're learning.
With that being said, what does this dump truck do to your schedule? Because you must be working on this at this point, putting it all together. I mean, where's this dump truck fit into the schedule of these trucks? Because right now, you can look at the fleet for the police cars,
Right.
and there's one that obviously stands out.
Right.
But you look at the fleet for the trucks at the highway barn, and that fleet has a lot of standout.
So, at this point in time, it's too soon to say. But at the committee meeting, I would say, at the committee meeting in December, what do you think, Scott? We would have a competent answer for you. And not just us in the room, but also the fire department ambulance service as well.
And then you'd have you could present the other.
Well, the ambulance
numbers.
one is a very peculiar looking thing, because based on what their wants would be whether you can fit it within what money's already there.
Right.
I mean, when we had a conversation with Jerry, the money that's there, depending, and it all comes down to the type of ambulance they desire. There's enough money in that account to go and purchase almost pretty close to getting to the point where there's going to be 2 ambulances they could purchase brand new if they go with a Sprinter type ambulance. So I mean, ambulance aside,
There's variables within all this.
yeah. But the ambulance, I'm almost thinking you could almost pull them out of it and say, okay, look, that's kind of a separate ordeal.
Yeah, it
You
comes
know,
from a separate fund anyway.
a separate fund, but the fire department would definitely be part of the conversation.
They should get a hold of Brockport, because they just shut up, I saw on the news tonight. There's
Yeah, what was
eight
that?
sprinters sitting there.
Yeah, they closed up because they didn't have volunteers and stuff, right?
Oh.
I only read bits and pieces of it.
So there's 8 ambulances sitting there, they're gonna be for sale.
No, I
Did you get a quote from Matt?
It's coming, they didn't get it to me.
yeah.
So yes, I mean, as far as voting tonight on that, I don't
We're gonna
think.
table that until,
Yeah.
when we get,
But I mean, definitely, I mean, I just was talking with, you know, and I run some mulch up and was getting rid of it up at the dump, and I seen Dougie there, and he's like, you know, it just would be nice to have a bigger truck so I could actually, rather than taking so many small loads, I could throw that on there. I said, hey,
That's why I wanted to.
and he didn't bring it up, so it's not
No,
like
no,
he
that's why I
complained.
wanted to put it into the plan at the time.
Well, and that made me, it spurred me to like, well, yeah, I mean, if we have, you're gonna use it in all three things.
I guess you gotta prove to me that we really need it. And I
Oh,
don't
we-
mean just,
there's
no,
no-
I know, everything's nice to have.
No, there's no.
No, I don't wanna hear it, Scott. I want proof. I don't want, you said, oh, we could use
Bruce
it.
in the putty, come on out with my crew and we'll show you in a short order. It won't take me one day and I can show you how we need it. Let's get news around.
I know it's convenient and
Not
everything.
convenient, no. I mean,
No.
Dougie's the same. You know how many trips the poor guy had to make with that little
52.
truck? There you
He
go.
was on 52 when I was up there,
I mean,
and he had more to haul.
if you had that one, what would it,
we would use that 10-wheeler for everything. It would be used
I'm
every
just
day.
saying.
Every day.
Cut it down to 52, what do you think it would be?
I want you to tell me exactly what you're using it for.
Sidewalks. I mean.
No, I don't want that.
What do you mean you don't want that?
I want you to put it in writing, what you want and why you need it, specifically. I want some specifics. I don't want any of this general pie in the sky stuff.
I don't think it's pine. Well, look at it this way. We need another dump truck, irregardless.
I
four when
understand
came.
that.
I'm down to 2.
I understand that, I'm
So-
just questioning how much we need to be spending on trucks. Do we do?
How much was that little
How
one you got?
many
You
pickup
said,
trucks can we buy?
Because it's got plow frame on it. That's all.
But
And
the
this
big
one wouldn't, no. That's what I mentioned before, it wouldn't.
Well, I had the thing right here that we paid, I just actually saw it today, we paid out $24,000. This was a couple years ago in 10-wheelers. That was a couple years ago, when we were talking about it. I just saw it today in your invoice.
How
So-
much you say you paid per going this year so far?
I don't know, I'd have to add it up, I honestly don't know, but quite a bit. If you take all the time, I mean, we paid Bellinger a ton of money, we paid Rick Hitt, I had a guy here today hauling blacktop, I had him here last week hauling blacktop. I mean, it's,
I want those numbers.
you want the numbers or?
I want to see what it's costing us not to have it as opposed to what it costs us if we did have it.
Oh, it's easy to give you the numbers, yeah, these numbers are,
Well, I want specifics though,
Because the truck
about
would be
reason
how long
for this,
does the
that,
truck
and the other
last?
thing.
The village.
they're 20 years easy.
Even 20 years at 10 grand a year would be 200,000.
It's just, again, it's what you do here in the village, what you want to do. And if you want to hire them, we hire it, it doesn't matter to
We
me.
got all the bridges to repair on the streets.
Right here, 21,000 we paid in, from 6/6/14 to 5/30/15. Paid 21,147. I did it for that year, I haven't done it since, but I know the last 2 years will be very high.
What I'm asking for though is something that's probably never been talked about around here, cost analysis.
I can do the cost analysis, that's easy.
I don't think you realize how difficult it
Well,
is.
I know it's very difficult, it takes a lot of time, I don't have a lot of time. I mean, we've been fighting over this 10-wheeler, I really don't care one way or another, either I get a 10-wheeler or I
Yes,
get
you
a
do.
6-wheeler. No, I mean, I need one or the other.
And I have no problem with a 6-wheeler, I'm just questioning whether we need a 10-wheeler.
Buy another
When we
6-wheeler.
don't,
Give me the same price.
Doesn't matter to me, either way.
well, show me that, if it's gonna be the same price.
No, it won't be, it'll be the same price because it'll have plow.
All the.
We would put a plow on the 6-wheel dump. I prefer not to plow with 6-wheel dumps myself. I like the small trucks like Jimmy Jaws drives around, 1 tons. Because they work way better on the small streets. If you get a heavy snow, a little different story. But I would like to get another plow for our other loader, so when we have the major storm, we can plow with the 2 loaders. that works very nice. So,
You only do what you got.
Okay, well, we're obviously carrying this conversation on for another month. Alrighty.
If you were gonna do it the way you were saying, how you were gonna pay for 3 different ones, when would you have to order it? Because it wouldn't be till next season, correct? Next budget season?
you know, I'd like to take some of it out of this year's budget, and some of it out of next year's budget, we could do that.
That would all come down to delivery and,
Yeah, I don't know how you structure something like that, out of 2 budgets. I don't know if that's how you do that. Have you call to the state, I don't know.
Whether or not the company would send us multiple.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, can you pay for a truck in 2 different, I don't know. But then it would work.
You could put a down payment in 1 year and then have it delivered in the following year and pay the rest of it, is kind of how that would work.
Yeah, as long as it's legal.
So down
Yeah,
payment would be kind of like an
Or
order.
it would be like what we do now. that,
Installments.
You know, like an installment
Mhm.
purchase type of thing, it's just you would pay, if you had it delivered this year and you wanted to pay half this year, and then set up like an installment purchase agreement,
Well, you could
and
do
then
it that way, I
and then
guess.
just pay it off
You could do it that way, I mean.
in the next, rather than making the small payments, just pay it off.
Right.
I guess if we're gonna go ahead and do or get the excavator, if that happens, you know, and it's a big excavator to do the large job that we have, I do think we need something to haul, whatever we're gonna use the excavator for. You know, if we need gravel, we go get our own gravel. We need stone, we go get our own stone. We don't have to have it hauled in. I see some of the places around there where the bills that I signed hauling fees. Quite a lot of money in hauling fees and these bills we signed today.
would it be hard, Megan, to pull out of, you know, the bills, or how do we do that to see like what we spent over the last couple of years in 10-wheelers and stuff? I mean, would that be a pain right square in the rear?
This time of year,
I would have to do that.
probably. We have a lot of projects, I personally have a lot of projects going on, and I'm getting ready for year end. Lots of deadlines in December. But if Scott gave us vendors, we could pull the vouchers and copy and highlight, and I could put Jess on some of it.
Because like that 21,000 that was spent, there's still a ton of hauling that came in that's not in there. That's just what we hired to work in the village.
And
Yeah,
some of it-
like Mike's 100% right. You know, the guy that worked for us today, he actually hauled in 2 loads of stone and then he brought us 15 ton of blacktop. So, you know, we paid $85 an hour to have him on today. That would be in this number. But like when Hanson brings it in, it's figured right in the bill, unless we went through every bill, which we could do. It'd take a little time, but it's not that difficult to do. Yeah, then this number would go up. And I'm happy to do that, just to show you. I got no problem with that. So it takes a couple hours.
I think we probably ought to work on that then.
How many years do you want?
I don't think you have to go, 1 year's enough.
I think based on what we're gonna do in the village, this year is a great year to look at, because we're doing Crick, we're doing projects, and
Got the bridge, we've got a lot of stuff,
I mean, I go
depending
back
on how
to
much of
years.
it we can get
Well,
to.
you had basically 15, right? That was 15 that you were talking about for the 21,000? Or
That was it was a couple of years ago. That
So that's
was.
what I'm saying.
I can do
you're gonna
this
have-
year. I can just do this year.
Right, you're gonna
For
have a
this-
couple different years worth to look at and be like,
Mhm.
we're averaging at least $21,000 minimum.
Right.
And it's probably actually a higher number.
Yeah, that's
You know,
it's
I mean,
probably
that's-
pushing 35.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
And it ain't getting cheaper.
You
And
know,
I
this
agree
is-
with the mayor, I mean, we do need to show some numbers,
Yeah.
why we need to do things.
And I'm all for it if it makes, financial sense, that's all. I mean, it sounds good, but I want to be able to tell people,
That's-
we've done the numbers. And
Show numbers.
it doesn't make any sense to go any other direction.
Well, that almost comes down-
People are, every time they see another truck in town, the first thing they wanna know is why.
Yeah.
As soon as they see Village of Dansville hauling that stuff away, then you go
Mhm.
with their own 10-wheeler.
Yeah. You know, I realize you can haul more with one load, plus it's heavier loads.
But a big 10-wheeler is also a little tougher to get in and around some of the streets.
But if we're not using them for plowing anyway, then it doesn't matter. That's all I want to see. That's,
So that can happen then?
I can get that, and I will say one other quick thing that, you know, we beat up our six-wheelers now bad.
Because
I mean, you look at that brand new one, it's beat already, because it gets used for a lot of things that shouldn't get used. They have a door in the bottom that flips up for salting, you know, we're dumping concrete and things in it. The trucks aren't designed for that, they just aren't. I've always used the old one, but the old one's shot.
instead of running a big excavator and just gonna, you'd almost have to rent a 10-wheeler to work with the excavator.
Again, it's too bad we can't use the towns.
But that's something that needs to be worked on.
Yep. We need to work on it hard.
No, I know, Charlie.
There
I
you go.
said it.
There's talk about how to handle that as well.
I was gonna say, I had a conversation with an individual over there, not down the hall, but the other one, your friend, about that. We can put that to the test.
I guess, I would like to know, I pay town taxes myself.
Mhm.
Aren't we entitled to something in the village?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I mean, I pay a lot of town taxes, a lot of town taxes, and I get zero help, zero help. And I'm gonna tell you what,
I thought
when they ask for me, I give them whatever they want, and there's never any hesitation. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's not fair.
We can discuss
I
this,
thought Thursday we could talk more about that topic, or,
not this Thursday.
oh.
You can come in if you want.
Providing lunch?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you cooked it, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Extra gravy.
We're going to have to
I know.
reschedule after
I'm
next
with you. Little extra gravy.
Okay, well, that's a discussion, yes, we can have that at the next meeting.
Okay?
I met with the department heads, we can discuss that. Okay, let's move along then. We're not really gonna vote tonight on that, right? Okay, that's fine. Can't say we didn't talk about it. Okay, now we got to approve the retention and disposition schedule for our files and stuff that they've been cleaning out downstairs. All I need is,
After what you said earlier, I cringe at this because they're going through some of this paperwork and you find all the paperwork that we need.
well, they've been pretty thorough about going through this stuff.
No, I know, it's just,
You know what?
those oops.
We're not gonna have oopses. We go through everything that we've requested to shred, it will be gone through again. Also in the share folder, there is that list of documents, that would be a separate resolution from the schedule, if you guys choose to approve that. I know we were requested to clean up the basement, so
This is your,
if you want us to move forward, you know, and you want it to be done in-house, then you have to trust that we're gonna do it accurately and that we're checking and
we trust you.
so there's the list in there if you guys want to approve it. We'll get rid of those documents next month and then we'll have another list for you.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Humphrey to approve the records retention and disposition schedule. And we have a second.
I'll second it.
And a second from trustee
Well, you
Nagel.
were putting your finger up, so I thought, oh, you were been on every one of them tonight.
Do we have any pertinent discussion that could be going on? Gentlemen, pertinent discussion.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Do we have to shred those documents?
Some of them,
Some of them, you guys will make that determination.
yep.
And then what do we do, have somebody come in here to shred them, like you call a shredding?
No, we'll shred them. We'll
You'll
shred
shred
them here.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, just wondering.
We
Yeah,
have
we're
a goal.
just, with the records management, was one of the projects that we had started discussing when we started discussing codification and website, and we had all agreed to do this portion over several years, and we do it in-house when we're able to, so we'll be doing.
They made a lot of headway down there. we'll
Might need to
have-
get a couple new, should we approve the new shredders?
I was thinking, how many shredders we gonna have to buy now?
If you get one that's
I am
like a
certain-
220.
I am certain she'll let me know if we need a new one.
This first, this first round of documents that we're asking to dispose, there isn't going to be a lot of shredding
Yeah,
for
okay.
this one, which I thought would save time, you know, considering, like I said, December, we're kind of, you know, I'm a little strapped that month, so.
Okay.
So that's why we chose the documents that we chose.
Okay, we have a second, a first, yeah, a motion and a second. Have any further discussion? Deathly silence. Okay, and a yawn.
Do we need to add in the list too? Or is this just for the schedule? Because she's got another list that we want.
She's got a list, we got,
That is a second resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be good.
yeah, okay. On the original one we got here, trustee Nagel?
Aye.
Okay, trustee Zay?
Aye.
Everybody's falling asleep, trustee Rittenhouse?
I am wide awake.
Trustee Humphries, an
Yeah,
aye.
Captain.
The mayor's an aye. That's on the this retention and disposition schedule resolution. Now we have one for the list.
Make a motion?
We have a motion from trustee Rittenhouse,
Second.
second from trustee Humphrey. Discussion. Okay, trustee Nagel,
Aye.
trustee Zay,
Aye.
trustees Rittenhouse,
Aye.
trustee Humphrey,
Aye.
and the mayor's an aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, where are we now? Last item.
No.
Anything further that we need to add to that? Is that it? Good. And the last is the waiver of the bill penalties for 9474 Canal Street.
Can we legally even do that? No, right? We don't waive penalties.
No. But this one here, trying to remember the details on it, it's been 2 weeks.
This is the one that a bank took over.
Ah, that was it. Yep.
Um,
Nope, nope. You're right. I bring it up. Board make a decision. Obviously, I think it's probably going to be no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can legally do it. I think-
We can't gift, which will get into something else in a little bit too.
Well, if you can't do it, we
So
can't do
moved.
it.
No, I understand that. I just want the board to be aware of it. Had to refresh my memory there. Couldn't remember if there was one we had here recently. We did do waive the penalties, but that was because it was our problem. Okay. Any other issues that need to come before the board from either the department heads or the trustees?
Just the one issue on, and I don't know if that would be an executive session, with Dave Avery. As far as being promoted to an MEO.
Yeah, we can discuss that in a minute. That'll involve a couple things. Anything else? Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion then to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing a employee work history issue, as well as to discuss a potential litigation issue.
I'll second it.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion from trustee Zay and a second from trustee Nagel.
I wasn't in my.
In the correct order.
Turkey with it.
Thank you, gentlemen. I realize it's getting late. It's 9:29, I guess, so,
And a half.
and a half. All right, so thank you. And I guess just while I got three of you here anyway, I guess, do we want to meet next Thursday? What is next Thursday before I go commit myself to something?
Yeah, the 30th works for me.
Okay. We'll just meet then. Discuss all these other things. And I need you to